Found in the matter of Ergenson versus Lindner. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Ergenson, it is your claim that Mr. Lindner's employees vandalized your house and your car. And Mr. Lindner says he wasn't there. As far as he's concerned, there is no proof that his employees did anything to your house and your car. Who do you live with, sir?
Myself and my two daughters.
How old are your daughters?
17 and 19.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm an electrical contractor.
And you have a restaurant?
Yes.
Sometime in July, according to what I read, you ordered some food from Mr. Lindner's establishment. Have you ordered from him before?
Many a times.
What did you order?
Antipasta salad and a turkey sandwich.
And did they deliver it?
Yes.
Remember what date that was?
The 22nd is the date of this, yes.
No, the
22nd
date of the first order.
Well, what happened
for a
was
sandwich and a salad.
We ordered a couple times and asked for extra Italian dressing prior to that.
Well, I understand that, sir. I read the complaint. I read your complaint very carefully. Sometime before this incident, you had ordered a sandwich and a salad.
Which was 2 weeks before.
That's what I want to know. 2 weeks before this incident. And you had ordered a sandwich and a salad with extra dressing for the salad. What kind of extra dressing did you want?
Italian dressing. A couple extra cups.
And had you ordered that before?
Yeah.
And had they always accommodated you before?
Yes.
Who was the salad and the sandwich for?
Me and my daughter. Actually, my oldest daughter.
Who was eating the salad? Who was eating the sandwich? Who were you sharing?
Sharing.
And your order came, and they didn't send the extra dressing.
They didn't send any dressing.
So you called back the restaurant. And what did you say to them?
I asked them, they didn't bring me any dressing. I talked to one of their guys in there. He said, we're very sorry. We'll be out in 10 minutes. And I said, please do, because I don't want to wait another 40 minutes for like I had to wait for my order. I want the salad dressing right away. No problem, sir. We'll be right out there. Waited about 40 minutes, almost an hour. Nobody showed up at my door. I called and I said, can I talk to the manager? And he says, I am the manager. I said, well, I've been waiting for my dressing now an hour. They didn't bring me any. Well, I didn't know. He said, I didn't know anything about it. We have no drivers anymore. They all went home. And I got angry with him. I said, well, I want a credit on my food then. And he said he wasn't going to give me full credit. And I said, I would like full credit for $12. I couldn't eat anything.
You couldn't eat the sandwich?
Not by that time, because we normally put the salad dressing on the sandwich, too. That's why we order extra for the salad and the sandwich. The girls like it. They like the extra vinegar and stuff. So we got mad. The manager hung up on me. I tried to call back. Nobody answered. Nobody answered. So I let it go. And about 2 weeks later, I ordered the same meal. And when the driver got there, I said, we have a credit, and I shut the door.
Very grown up of you.
Yeah.
You think that was right?
Come see, come saw.
What is come see, come saw?
Well, I had a credit.
Do you think,
I mean, the guy agreed he was going to pay me half the credit.
No. Listen to me, sir.
Okay.
You didn't have a credit. You said you wanted a credit.
No, the manager also told me he was going to give me a credit on the salad, but not the sandwich.
That's right. That's what you just told me. He said,
Right.
well, we will certainly, sir, give you a credit on the salad, because if you run the kind of house where you don't have any dressing at all in your house for 3 adults, if you can't eat the salad, we're sorry about that, but we're not going to give you credit on the sandwich. You decided you wanted a credit on both. So when you took your food and slammed the door in the driver's face, which is what you just told me that you did, that was the wrong thing to do.
Okay.
There were a lot of other things that you could have done, other than stiff the driver. Because
Well, it wasn't the driver, it was the pizza
No,
place.
it's the driver. Because they're giving them the food, and when they come back and he says, listen, we went to somebody's house and they wouldn't give us any money, either one of two things happen. Either they say, well, we're taking it out of your money, or they call you. Did they call you?
No.
So you don't know whether the driver got stiffed with your $12 meal. Anyway, Mr. Ergenson, it was very immature of you. And what I'm surprised about is, evidently you are a single father raising 2 children. It would seem to me that you would have enough to occupy your plate other than engaging yourself in these petty little situations that cause nothing but problems for people. Are you telling me that your girls are so perfect that you have nothing else to worry about? Or maybe they're not so perfect that you got plenty to worry about, that you were taking it out on some stranger.
No, my girls are plenty perfect. They're very good
They're plenty
girls.
perfect. Well, then there's something wrong with you.
Okay.
All right. Now,
For a single father that runs a business for 20 years and raises 2 girls since they've been 2 and 4, I think I'm pretty good.
well, then I want to tell you something. If your girls are perfect and you run a nice business and you don't have enough to do with your time, I'd start volunteering a little bit more, because this business is ridiculous, petty baloney. So now what you're complaining about is that the next day...
No.
2 days later?
No.
That night?
That night, I had 4 guys come to my house and try to strong-arm me for $12 at my door and threaten to ask me to come outside so we can take care of outside.
Okay.
And I shut the door in their face.
So this little escapade of yours, then 4 people came back to your house
To threaten me
and
from
wanted
this
the
place.
just a second, and said they wanted the $12.
Yeah.
And again, you slammed the door in their
No,
face.
I told them I have a credit. I said, where's the manager? The guy, this one over here, says, I am the manager. And I said, you're the manager from the place? Well, great. Do you remember this? He says, no. And the other guy that's not here today says, oh, you were the one that complained about the salad dressing. I said, so you know about it. You know what happened 2 weeks ago. He said, yes. And I said, okay, then you have a credit with me. If you have a problem, tell the owner to call me. We'll deal with it in court. If you want to sue me for 12, sue me for 12. So that's how it happened.
Volunteer.
They threatened me in my house.
Volunteer. It was a stupid thing to do. Should have written it off. You understand?
Yes.
You're dealing with somebody who's got a little too much time on his hands and a little bit too much aggression in his gut.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was up a whole night and frightened because her father acted like a jerk. That's why she was up all night, because her father acted like a big baby.
And later today,
You're not supposed to fib anytime, especially not when you're in court, because that's a fib. If your mother doesn't know it's a fib, I know it's a fib.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mitchell Ergensen says pizza parlor owner Stephen Lindner owes for vandalism to his truck. Mitchell claims Stephen's employees doused it with salad dressing.
First of all, Mr. Ergensen, when you order a salad with dressing and a sandwich, the sandwich doesn't come with Italian dressing. So what you're doing is saying, when I asked you, well, why couldn't you eat the sandwich? You said, we'd like to put the dressing on the sandwich. You're not entitled to that. You're not entitled to that.
But
the sandwich comes alone.
Yeah.
The dressing comes with a salad. You want dressing for your sandwich, go to the store and buy a bottle of dressing so you have dressing for the sandwich.
But it's not the same dressing. Their salad dressing has their own taste and their own life. It's like when you go to different restaurants. When you go into different restaurants, do you like different salad dressings that different restaurants serve you?
Mr. Ergensen, listen to me
what
very
happens.
carefully, sir.
Okay.
Then you don't say, send me extra dressing for the sandwich that I'm not entitled to. You say, I'm prepared to pay you extra to send me extra dressing because I like dressing on my
If
sandwich.
they said it cost extra, I would have been happy to pay for it.
Did you? Just a second.
Happy to pay for
You
it.
were getting something for nothing. You wanted something for nothing. You're
No,
not
I did
entitled
not.
to that.
No, I did not.
Mr. Ergensen, you're a big baby.
Okay.
That doesn't
Thank
mean
you.
you're a big baby.
Thank you.
That doesn't mean your people were entitled to vandalize his house. Now, Mr. Ergensen, I will take a look at the photographs of your house.
And my car.
And your car.
And I have the cups that they used.
I don't care about the
All
cups
right,
that
and
they
I have a
used.
new cup too. It shows in the pictures. And I also have repairs that you might want to see.
Let me see the bills. Mr. Lindner, the way to respond to someone who is behaving in an immature way is not to stoop to their level. There isn't a question in my mind, after examining these photographs, that this vandalism to the plaintiff's house was done by someone in your employ or in the employ of the restaurant. No question. You get me?
Yes, ma'am.
Ah. Now, I don't know whether you went home. I don't know whether they said, listen, he deserves it. What he did was he was acting like a baby, acting like a big baby. But you don't take the law into your own hands and
No.
commit a crime.
Absolutely not.
You want to file a police report and say he stole food from me? That's your prerogative. He did. It would be no different from him coming into a restaurant, having a meal, and getting up and leaving. And saying, well, the last time I was here, I didn't have a good meal. And I wanted a credit, and they wouldn't give me a credit. So this time, I'm enjoying my meal, but I'm not paying for it. No different. What he did was, he stole from you.
No,
And for that, oh, yes, you did,
No, I
sir.
didn't.
There is no difference from what you did than if you walked into their restaurant or walked
I don't
into
steal
a...
anything.
I'm speaking. No difference than if you went into a restaurant, ate, didn't like the meal, they wouldn't give you a credit. And a week later, go back to the same restaurant, order the same meal, and get up and leave. And if the police came, they would have arrested you for theft of services, because that's what it is. They still had no right to vandalize your house. Do you understand?
Yes.
You don't resort to that sort of behavior because he acted like a jerk.
And came to my house and threatened me in my house.
No, ma'am.
And my daughter will attest to all that, too.
Listen, I don't want to get your daughter involved. It's bad enough she had
Well,
to
she
be
was
involved. It's
frightened
bad
that
enough
night.
she had to be involved with it
She was
because of
frightened
your
the whole night
stupidity.
from these guys doing this.
No, listen
Yeah,
to me.
she was.
Listen to me. She was up a whole night and frightened because her father acted like a jerk.
Okay.
That's why she was up all night, because her father acted like a big baby. Cost you $229.23. Is that right?
And lost wages in my work.
Well, that's too bad. Counted lost wages in acting like a jerk. They're not allowed to vandalize your property. Cost you $229. I hope it felt good. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Just 1 second. $229.23 less 12. $217.23. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Apparently, I didn't bring him his dressings, which I did offer to bring back, which he did not want.
I just wanted my order the way it should have. When they didn't bring me any, I was a little upset.
He yelled at me for a good 6 minutes or so in the middle of the street.
About principle.
I just think it's about respect between customer and business.
He was enraged, and he slammed the door in my face, and that was it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of White versus York. Step forward, please.
Lisa White is suing business owner Susan York for the cost to repair her vehicle. Lisa claims Susan's son, 8-year-old Dylan, hit it with a rock.
Miss White, it is your complaint that Miss York's little boy, I assume this little boy, was throwing rocks in the street, and one of the rocks hit your car, causing some damage.
That's correct.
And you want his mother to pay for the damage. Miss York says she doesn't think her son was responsible for that. He was merely rolling rocks, although she wasn't there. She says that it was really your conduct that was outrageous on that day. So tell me when this happened.
It was approximately 7 to 7:15 in the morning on May 12th. I was on my way to work. I was traveling down East Yacht Drive.
Where is that?
It's in Oak Island, North Carolina. As I approached the intersection where the children were, they were in the street.
How many children were in the street?
Approximately 5, 2 boys and 2 or 3 girls.
I assume they were waiting for the school bus?
That's correct.
Okay.
As I approached, I noticed that they were playing in the street, so I slowed down. They moved to the shoulder of the intersection. One little boy was throwing stones into the other empty lot across the street, and as I approached, Dylan threw a rock at my car, and I heard it hit.
You saw him do that?
Yes, ma'am.
So you stopped your car, and what did you do?
I got out, and I'm like, you, come here, what's your name? And I said, look at what you've done to my car. I said, where do you live? He said, down the street. I said, you get in my car, and I'm taking you to your mother to show her what you're doing at the bus stop. Well, he had extra stones in his other hand, and he threw those down. I said, no, you pick those up, you put them in my car, and we're going now. So he got into the car, and I took him straight to his mother's house. I told him to go upstairs and take the stones with him to show whoever was there. I didn't know which parent was home. I said, take those and show them what you've been throwing at my car, and send them downstairs to talk to me. And she came down to talk with me.
And what did she say?
Well, she asked him, did he do it? And why did you do that? I told you not to throw stones. I told her.
What did he say?
He's like, well, it was an accident. I'm like, no, it was not. I saw him do it.
He said to his mother it was an accident.
That's correct.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Stand up next to your mother. Dylan, how could it be an accident if you were throwing the stones?
I was rolling them across the road, and she was going like 70.
Dylan, I don't want your nose to get long. I want you to tell me how it's an accident that stones that you were rolling on the ground hit somebody's car.
I rolled it, it bounced up on another
You rolled
rock.
it and it bounced up. A rock.
It hit another rock and it bounced.
That's a fib, Dylan. You're not supposed to fib anytime, especially not when you're in court, because that's a fib. If your mother doesn't know it's a fib, I know it's a fib. You and your friends were throwing rocks, right?
Yes.
And one of the rocks hit her car.
Yes.
See how easy that was?
Yes.
What your complaint is, Miss York, and one that I quite frankly find compelling, is that Miss White exercised very poor judgment in putting your son in her car.
This is correct.
Because I don't think North Carolina is any different from any other place in this country. You don't take somebody else's child and put them in your car. That's very, poor judgment, Miss White. I don't think there would have been anything wrong in you saying, if you live right down the street, you go right home, I'm going to follow you, so that you would know where he lived. But you don't take anybody else's child and put them in your car. Now, can I see a picture of the damage to your car?
I do have a photo, but you cannot see the actual dents or chips in the car, in the paint.
Well, it should just be one.
No, there's actually several. I have a police report stating that the officer noted 6 chips areas.
Well, he didn't chip it 6 times. He threw 1 rock. That's according to you.
He had several stones in his other hand. I don't know how many stones actually hit.
I don't know how many children were involved in throwing stones, but you said to me, I saw him throw a stone. I heard it hit my car. There's a difference in hearing 1 or hearing 6.
Your Honor, may I say something? Mm-hmm. When she drove to my house, I saw 1 little dot, and then in return, it ended up being dents. I never saw a dent. She even herself said it probably won't be much.
Well, what she's suing you for is $300.
Yes, ma'am.
Which isn't much. I think what your complaint is, quite frankly, despite the fact that I read your answer, and your answer gave me the same malarkey that he was rolling stones. Children don't roll stones. They throw stones at cars. And that's what he did, because that's what he just told me he did.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
So you're responsible, because if you want to make sure that your son doesn't do that, and I assume he's done it before, right?
Not that I'm aware of, no, ma'am.
Never heard of him throwing rocks before?
Not at cars.
At anything?
I mean, he's a little boy. I guess he does throw rocks, yes.
Okay. Well, if he's a little boy and he throws rocks, then you should be out there with him waiting for the school bus.
Your Honor, I would like to say, when he came home from school, I had asked him what happened. And he admitted that he had been rolling rocks.
Rolling rocks doesn't...
Rolling rocks, throwing rocks, and 1 hit her car. And then he proceeded to show me how she forcefully put him in her car. I have a written statement for...
I don't take statements from
Okay.
people. She had no right to put him in the car, take him in the car, ask him to get into the car, pick him up. Absolutely no right to do that. He wasn't injured. He went off to school that day. Did you go off to school that day?
Yes.
Did you have a good day in school that day?
Yes.
So he wasn't injured, emotionally or physically. But she did the wrong thing, and I've told her she did the wrong thing. So I read her the Riot Act. You still have to pay to have a car fixed.
That's fine.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $300. That's all.
Thank you.
Zuniga, parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. Aviton, according to your complaint, you dated the defendant for about 6 months.
Yes.
You knew at the time that he was married.
Did not know.
Well,
I
mean, I read your complaint. So your complaint says that with regard to the cell phone that you claim that you got for him.
Yeah.
The reason that you got it, put your hand down. The reason you say you got him the cell phone was because he told you that his wife was checking on the number.
Right. There's a preface to it. I started working at the animal hospital that we were at probably in July.
Just a second. I'm going to finish my statement, then I'll get back to you. In any event, he was married, you were dating him, and you claimed that you made him a series of loans. In addition, you claim that he asked you to get him a cell phone, you got him a cell phone, he ran up a bill, and he owes you the bill. Mr. Zuniga says that you got him the cell phone because you were calling him 20 times a day, and you were running up his telephone bill, that anything that you did for him was voluntary.
Yes.
There was no agreement to pay you back any of the money that you gave him. And in addition, he's counterclaiming because he says that since he and you are no longer an item, that you've been acting like a nutty lady and seriously harassing him, and he can prove it.
Right.
Okay. So, when did you first start dating the defendant?
I would say probably like the last week in July, maybe.
When did you find out that he was married?
After I started dating him.
Just a second. So, how much after? A week, 2 weeks, a month?
Probably a week or two, I would say.
Okay. But you didn't break off the relationship.
Well, I didn't break off the relationship with him because, number one, he told me that he and his wife were at dire straits, that they would be separating, and he also told me that they weren't getting along.
Well, that doesn't help much. You understood he was still married,
Correct.
Still living with his wife.
Right.
Okay. Now, let's start out with the cell phone.
The cell phone bills I have here, first of all, I didn't get him the cell phone bill because I was calling him constantly. I got him the cell phone bill because when
You got him the cell phone?
Yeah, cell phone. The time he claims I was calling him constantly, he didn't want my number showing up on his cell phone bill, So he said, should we get another cell phone? I said, I'll put another one on my account for you. And I told him, I said, but you're going to have to pay. I said, there's no reason for me to go ahead and.
Is that what happened, Mr. Zuniga?
No, that's not what happened at all. I have phone bills here from my phone company that'll
For your
show
cell
you.
phone.
Right. That'll show you all the times that she did call, and they were all calls within a minute to 2 minutes apart.
But you took a cell phone from her.
Yes.
Tell me why.
Because I told her, once I got my first phone bill, I told her that there were too many phone calls, that this all had to stop. This whole relationship had to stop because of all these phone calls. She didn't agree with it. So then she offered to get me a cell phone bill. She said she was going to buy me one, and then she proceeded to take her boyfriend's cell phone and give it to me.
Why in the world, within the very short time of starting to have a relationship with her, if you saw that she was behaving in an inappropriate way by calling you that number of times in a 1 or 2 day period, why did you continue the relationship?
Because I thought that maybe she would change if, I would tell her that this was becoming a nuisance. Maybe she would change it a little bit. Maybe she would stop the phone calls.
Now, where did you tell your wife you were when you were with her?
Actually, me and my wife were separated for a while.
But not all the time, Mr. Zuniga. So when you weren't separated, where did you tell your wife you were?
I would just leave. I wouldn't tell her anything. Sometimes I would tell her I was with friends, but the majority of the time I would just walk out the house.
Oh, okay. Now, you took money from her.
The only money that I took from her was the money that she used to pay my cell phone bill, which was this one.
How much money did you take?
She made a payment of $100.
All right, so what other monies, Ms. Aviton, do you claim you gave him?
Well, I have here from August 2004, on the 17th of August and the 23rd of August, we had been together that particular evening, and we had decided to go to Hollywood to get tattoos. So I had said to him, I'm going to go ahead and get one. He says, well, can I get this and that, and I'll repay you for it. I said, fine, no problem. Well, because of the fact that we were in a relationship, I took him at his word.
Okay, so tattoos, joint tattoos. What else?
They weren't joint. Then there's a diving mask and the leather phone case and charger for the cell phone that I got him. The phone case and the diving mask were September 15th and September 24th. Then in December was the remote control battery for the car and the satellite radio. And then in November, he asked me to buy him a CD burner. Then there is, in November again, there's window tinting on his truck that I spent $100 for as well. That was supposed to be reimbursed. And then we have the...
Okay, so you gave him the first money in August. Is that right?
Yeah.
Did he pay you back that money?
None of it.
You gave him money in September?
None of it.
Shh, listen to me. You gave him money in September?
Yes.
Did he pay you back?
No.
And you gave him money in November?
Yes.
And when you gave him money in November, he hadn't paid back the August, September, October money?
Right.
So let me explain to you what happened. You gave him a lot of money.
Yeah, I did.
Right. So you have to cross it off. You made a mistake. Put your hand down. I didn't ask you a question. I'm not pleased with you either. We understand each other, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Good. Because as far as I'm concerned, if what you did was, if you were living with your wife, and for at least part of this time you were living with your wife, and you were accepting gifts from her.
Right, but if I could...
I'm speaking. Try looking at my eyes. And if you were accepting gifts from her, that doesn't make you a nice person. Doesn't make her a nice person. Doesn't make you a nice person. And it makes me the victim because I got to listen to this baloney.
Right.
You made a mistake. You had no legitimate expectation that he was going to pay you back. Maybe you thought he was going to leave his wife and you were going to be together. But you had no legitimate expectation of being paid back for a tattoo in August, in December when you loaned him yet more money.
And they weren't separated at the time. They were still living together. They lived with his sister and whoever else.
And according to you, the reason that you gave him the cell phone was that you agreed that his wife shouldn't see when you called him.
Right. But if you'll notice on these bills, he's called his old... used it for everything else.
I don't care. I'm talking about your character, not his.
Okay.
I'm talking about your character.
It was a mistake.
I'm talking about your character, not a mistake.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Get over it.
He's got a kid from another woman, and he's 3. I mean, he cheats all the time.
Are you trying to justify to me
No.
the fact that you're an idiot?
And later today,
I'm sitting there for about 10 minutes or so, and he just came up out of the garage and started hitting me in the back of the head, in the face.
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Well, that's the problem when you drink too much, sir.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Susan Avitan says ex-boyfriend Carlos Zuniga owes for a loan and a cell phone bill. Carlos is countersuing for defamation of character.
All right, sir. Now that you understand that you have 0% of my sympathy. I'm going to hear your counterclaim.
Some time ago, this last time I changed my phone number, my cell phone number, when she tried to contact me after I changed it, she couldn't, so then she proceeded to call my wife and left a message on her voicemail stating that she was to tell me that if I think I'm a smart, what she was going to do was file a sexual harassment complaint with the city of Beverly Hills, and that she was going to call my boss and write her letter explaining everything that has happened.
She left that in a message?
Yes.
You have it?
I don't have the message. Unfortunately, we weren't able to record it.
Right.
But,
Which I did not.
but I have the letter that she did write to my boss.
As well
and
as
everything is explained there, the
Can I see
defamation
it?
of character. I also have a record of several phone bills that she called
Can
every
I
time
say
she
something
called
about
me.
the...
No.
Okay.
And if you take a look at these phone records, there are quite a bit of phone calls. They're all highlighted for you.
Why did you go to the police?
Do you really want me to go into the gory details?
Well, I
what
want to know
happened-
first, why don't you tell me when you went to the police?
I went to the police in April. What had happened?
Shh. You went to the police in April, not while you were dating and intimate with him afterwards.
Yeah. But there's extenuating circumstances as well with that letter. I had a previous...
You were on medication.
No, I should have been.
No, you were on medication.
No.
She tried to get me fired.
I believe that she tried to get you
Well,
fired.
no, you know what? It wasn't that I tried to get him fired. I was let go from that job because when Carlos and I got involved, it was getting more difficult for me to work with him, obviously, right? And there was an incident in an x-ray room at the hospital that when the detectives brought him in, he lied flat out to them and told them that he didn't do it. And I have a friend that she couldn't be here today, that I told about it right after it happened.
You got fired from your job, so you tried to get him fired.
No, that's not why, because we were still dating at that point.
She also tried to get
Just
me...
a second. So what you're telling me is you were still dating and you were complaining that he sexually harassed you in an x-ray room?
No, this was after the fact.
Listen, get over it. Get over it.
Okay.
Stop acting like a baby. How old are you?
Old enough.
Then stop acting like a baby. You fool around with a married guy, you get burned. You lose money, you can lose your job, you lose your self-respect. Lots of bad things happen to you. Get over it.
If I could say one other thing, I work at Hollywood Park at the racetrack, and she also almost got me fired from there. She would call there constantly speaking to my manager.
Oh, you're such a liar,
And then
Carlos.
after
Listen, I don't want to hear from you.
And she even had a big cookie delivered there. When she had that delivered there, right after she had it delivered, she called constantly trying to ask what my reactions were, if I had any comments.
Did you seek a restraining order
Yes, I
against
did.
her? And what happened?
The first time we appeared in
Lied.
court, the judge said that it was just a whole bunch of nonsense and it was foolish. That same day, she contacted me. She called my cell phone. Throughout that month, she called me a total of probably anywhere from 10 to 18 times. When we went back to court, there was a different judge that heard the case the second time. The judge said what she was doing wasn't considered harassment, and he dropped the case. And I have a copy of the restraining order
I'd
here.
like to see a copy of the restraining order.
The reason he had the restraining order issued to begin with is I had also purchased some tires and rims for him that I wanted back when we had split up that he hadn't paid for. And that's
Listen to me. You bought him a bunch of presents and you got angry.
But that has nothing to do with the tires and rims.
Yes,
Judge
it
Judy.
does.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
He had the restraining
But
order
you're-
issued to cover it up for his wife. This was a bunch of nonsense. He's been living with her the whole time that we were together. He's lying.
Listen to me. Madam, get over it.
He's got a kid from another woman, and
Yes.
he's 3. I mean,
Listen,
he
get-
cheats all the time.
Listen.
I'm not the only one.
So what? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Are you trying to justify to me
No.
the fact that you're an idiot?
Well, yeah, that goes without saying, but...
Are you trying to... I'm telling you, get over it. Get over it. You have no case against him. You made him a whole bunch of gifts because you liked the attention, you liked the affection, you liked the intimacy, whatever it was. He dumped you. It's over.
That's fine.
It's over. So then stop this nonsense. You're the plaintiff here. Put your hand down. Mr. Zuniga, you play with fire, you're going to get burned,
Right.
sir. Don't come here asking for a court to take up time when you did the wrong thing. If
I
you
agree.
broke her heart, Mr. Zuniga, because you took advantage of her, you allowed her to buy you gifts, you allowed her to buy you rims for your car. You allowed her to buy you a CD burner. You allowed her to pay for a tattoo. You allowed her to indulge you. And all the time you knew that this was just a temporary thing. You were still living at home. You were lying to your wife. Remember what I told you 5 minutes ago?
Right.
Zero sympathy for you, sir. Courts don't help people like you.
I agree. I mean...
Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He came after me. He's a liar. He's got a child from another woman that's 3 years old. He's been married for 5 years. He's been cheating on his wife since they've been married.
He worked with me. She knows my wife worked there. All the gifts that she gave me, I asked her to take them all back, and she never did.
He would cry to me that his wife was mean to him, and I mean, he's a liar.
He's just one of those types of person that wants to buy people's feelings.
Believe me, I wouldn't do this again for $1 million.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Clapp Miller versus Walker. Step forward, please.
17-year-old Lisa Clapp and her mother, Laura Miller, are suing 22-year-old Tim Walker for medical bills. Lisa says during a St. Patrick's Day party, Tim attacked her, breaking her nose.
Lisa, how long have you known Mr. Walker?
I really don't. He was a friend of my boyfriend's friend, and so like I only saw him a few times.
Did you ever have any bad words with him?
No, never.
Do you know Mr. Walker? How long you know Miss Clapp?
Yeah, probably about over like a 2-month period. We met each other a couple of times.
You have mutual friends. Is that right?
Yeah. Our mutual friend, like, what do you mean?
What word didn't you understand? Mutual or friend?
Mutual.
You have friends in common.
Yeah, every day.
How old are you?
22.
What do you do?
Brick mason.
You drink?
No, not anymore. I slowed down.
But you did?
Yeah, I did.
Miss Clapp says that you were at a party. Was on St. Patrick's Day?
Yes, ma'am.
She was at a party, and she says that you were really drunk. Are you Irish?
Mm-mm.
What are you?
Polish and Indian.
But you celebrate St. Patrick's Day by drinking.
Well, I've always celebrated St. Patrick's Day.
Good.
But...
And she says that while you were drinking and pretty drunk, you broke her nose. You assaulted her and broke her nose. And Mr. Walker says that drunk or sober, because he acknowledges that he was pretty drunk that day, right, Mr. Walker? He said drunk or sober. He would never hit a woman. He doesn't know why you would, in the world, you would accuse him of that. So why don't you tell me what happened?
Well, we got to the party, my ex-boyfriend and I, and we went in and everyone was drunk. Tim was the drunkest person there. There was like 2 guys there I didn't know, a girl I'd met maybe twice.
I'm not interested in who was at the roster of the party. Just tell me about Mr. Walker, please.
Well, one of the guys that I didn't know, Mr. Walker decided that he wanted to fight him. He threw a couple swings at the guy. The guy ducked and said, you know, you're messed up, man, just go to sleep, I'm going to leave. And the guy left. He was in the driveway. He had kind of just walked off after that, and everyone else had gone into the garage. And he was still in the driveway, and it was pretty dark, and so nobody really knew where he was. And we were all sitting in the garage, and like I'm sitting there for about 10 minutes or so, and he just came up out of the garage and started hitting me in the back of the head, in the face.
You have a police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
They would not give me the photographs.
Were you arrested?
Mm-mm,
Were
never.
you questioned?
Yes, I was.
Did you say you wanted to pursue these charges?
Yes, I did.
I'm amazed that he wasn't arrested. Why wasn't he arrested?
I don't know.
I don't understand why I would do something like this, because I've watched my mom when I was younger get beat by boyfriends. I was raised to respect women. I don't understand. I mean,
drunk. She is not psychotic. When somebody is assaulted, unless they're psychotic, they want the person who assaulted them either to be punished and or to pay for their injuries. They don't pick somebody that didn't assault them.
no, I just no, I didn't do it.
Yeah, you did. You know how you did it? You did it because you'd had too much to drink and you were acting like an idiot.
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Well,
doing
that's the
so.
problem when you drink too much, sir. You don't remember. How did you get to the party that night?
I actually lived with the guy that was throwing the party.
Do you remember waking up the next morning?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember going to sleep that night?
No, I don't.
Do you remember where you slept that night?
Yes, I do.
Where?
At a buddy's house.
How far away?
Like across the street, another neighborhood.
Some distance away from your regular home.
Yes, ma'am.
How did you get there?
Another buddy drove me.
Why?
because I don't know, apparently I walked off or something, I don't know.
You have hospital bills, please?
Yes.
That's what I was told. So.
That's what?
I said that's what I was told.
What do you
by
mean
other
that's
friends.
what you were told?
When I woke up next morning, my friends told me that this is what I did, and I didn't remember it, so...
You didn't remember getting to your friend's house?
No, I did not.
That's what happens when you drink too much. And you hurt her. You broke her nose. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Versus Janikowski Kinsel. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Are you Miss Janikowski?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is your son?
Yes.
Whose name is?
Alex Kinsel.
Alex?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Good. Did you give him a good poke?
Yes, I did.
Perfect. I saw that. It was subtle, but he got it. I'm impressed. Alex.
Yes, ma'am.
I do want you to understand that this is going to be an unpleasant morning for you.
Okay.
Your mother is aware of that, but I'm sure that lately you've had a couple of unpleasant moments with your mother, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You weren't there?
No, ma'am.
And you weren't there?
No, ma'am.
So why don't you have a seat? You're just the question really of liability, and in your case, a question of ownership of the car that was allegedly damaged by Alex.
Yes, ma'am.
When he decided to assault your boyfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
This young man,
Yes.
I assume?
Yes.
The only problem was your boyfriend was sitting in your car.
Yes.
And your car had a sunroof.
Yes.
So Alex, in order to get to,
Tyler.
climbed up on the...
I jumped into the sunroof. I didn't climb.
Jumped from the pavement.
Yes.
Into the sunroof.
Yes, ma'am.
Sort of like Spider-Man. Faster than a speeding bullet, right? Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
You're kind of mixing out
Is-
heroes, but that's it.
That's one of them.
Yeah, Superman. Yeah.
Spider-Man. Whatever. So you were able to do that, right?
Yes, ma'am. When you're mad and the adrenaline's rushing, sometimes you do things you don't expect you can do.
So now you want him to pay for the damage that he allegedly caused to your car, right? Alex says through his mother that he's very sorry for assaulting Tyler, which he freely admitted in juvenile court, and he was placed on probation.
Yes.
So he's paying for that crime, and he's sorry he did that, but he didn't damage the car
No, ma'am.
because, like Superman, he was able to bound from the sidewalk through the sunroof to get to Tyler without ever touching the car. Right? So now, Alex, what?
I'm sorry.
What?
Just picturing it.
I tried to draw a word picture to you to get you interested in what's going
I'm
on.
very interested.
Good. So, why don't you tell me why you decided to assault Tyler?
Almost a year ago, my friend Kevin was killed, Kevin Farrell. And it was due to the fact that Tyler had robbed someone and placed the blame on Kevin.
A year before this happened,
Yes, ma'am.
who killed your friend?
Lee.
Was he ever apprehended for this murder?
He was apprehended and he got criminal confinement and is still in courts right now, I believe.
Or was he convicted?
Of criminal confinement.
Of criminal confinement? What is criminal confinement? I never heard of that.
When they hold them against their will in a car with weapons.
You know these people? Do you know these people?
Unfortunately, yes.
What are they, all these gang people?
No.
Just criminals?
Yes.
Oh, you're terrific. Okay, so according to you, he's responsible for your friend's murder.
Yeah, if it wasn't for him, my friend would still be alive right here now.
Okay, so that's why you were angry with him.
Yes.
Is that why you assaulted him?
That's one of the reasons. They also provoked me
How did they provoke you?
by flicking me off, saying stuff, parking right next to my car the day it happened.
You mean the day that this assault happened?
Yes.
So they parked next to your car. She parked next to your car?
Yes. And she told me that Tyler had hit her that day, and that angered me as well. And he's supposed to be out of school 10 minutes earlier than all the other students, so he's actually trespassing.
Step up here. Why is he supposed to be out 10 minutes earlier?
Because there's so many people after him for the reason what he did.
You have a special schedule at school, Tyler?
Yes, ma'am. For safety precautions, I leave 10 minutes early at the end of the day, and I come 10 minutes late every morning.
And he did not do that. So if he
So
would
for all of those reasons, you decided that you were going to assault him?
Yes.
Ma'am, a couple of weeks earlier, he had spit in my face at school also before all this had happened and got in trouble.
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
It's his fault my friend's dead.
No.
Okay, so if you assaulted him a week or two before, why are you complaining about being flipped off?
It just angers me.
Are you seeing a psychiatrist?
No.
Do you think you should?
No, ma'am.
You should. He should be seeing a psychiatrist regularly. You understand that? You don't believe that? Step up with him, please. He should be in therapy. Intensive
I don't believe
therapy.
so, because once a person's been harassed off and on, a human being can only take so much.
Listen to
and
me.
He was at his breaking
Listen to me.
point.
Did you know that he spit in his face 2 weeks before?
No, I did not.
You see, somebody who's being harassed is usually frightened. So they stay away from the people who are harassing them or threatening them. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do, but when they go to the same high school...
He is the aggressor. When he assaults him, he becomes the aggressor.
I understand.
And that has nothing to do with harassment. He told me that he spit at him 2 weeks before because he believes he's responsible for his friend's murder. Do you understand?
Yes, I do, but Tyler had also off and on since the incident has been harassing Alex.
Listen to me. I'm giving you a friendly word of advice from someone who has been in the juvenile justice system now for almost 30 years.
I know that.
If you don't get him involved in therapy, you're going to be visiting him every other Sunday, and you're going to have to go through a metal detector to do it. I want you to trust me on this. And if you don't, when you look back at your portfolio of photographs of this time in his life, 20 years from now, you're going to say, you know, wouldn't have hurt if I had him talk to somebody and get out all this anger.
Yes, ma'am.
Because his anger has to do with some event that happened a year ago that he hasn't been able to get over.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Sometimes life isn't fair, my dear. Sometimes the justice system is not as fair as you would like it to be if you're a criminal.
And later today,
What do you mean you're not officially living there? You're not a moron, are you? You wouldn't pay rent in an apartment where you weren't living, would you?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 17-year-old Tiffany Borlov says fellow schoolmate, 17-year-old Alex Kinsel, damaged her car when he jumped through the sunroof. Tiffany says Alex was attempting to assault her boyfriend.
Can I see pictures of the car, please? I see a lot of damage to this car, Alex.
Yes.
Damage to this car that would suggest to me that you were not able to leap over and get onto the sunroof as you indicated you did.
Your Honor, I did not damage the car of a witness that was right there and saw the whole thing.
I'm prepared to hear the witness. You may have a seat. Step up.
And she had also...
Shh. Tell me your name.
Vicki Nofel.
Miss Nofel, this happened at the school. What were you doing at the
I
school?
was picking up my daughter after school. My car was parked in front of the car that involved in the
tell me
incident.
exactly what you saw.
He didn't actually climb on the car. He held onto where the door is and was in the sunroof. There was no hitting, kicking of the vehicle, and there had been damage to the car before.
How do you know that, my dear?
Well, my daughter goes to that school also.
Yes.
And Tiffany had stated to her that she had hit a deer and it had damaged the side of her car.
These are footprints. Deer don't have feet. And I cannot imagine, madam.
I understand.
I cannot imagine the kind of assault that he pled guilty to occurred without his feet touching the car if he's in the sunroof. Could you imagine that? It just doesn't make sense. It defies credulity that he can assault somebody with his fists while poised on top of a car, unless this is a toy car. Is it a toy car?
No.
Without his feet hitting the car. You understand that?
I understand.
Good. Now you can sit down.
Excuse me, Judge Judy.
Yes.
We do have a police report, and there's no mention of any damages in the police report.
I'd like to see the police report. This only has to do with the damage to this young man.
Well, I assume that it should have been in there.
No, it does refer to another number that you didn't get. Can I see an estimate, please, on the car? What year car is this?
A 97.
97 what?
Toyota Avalon.
Did you have it fixed?
We don't have the money to fix it.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Yes.
In court on March 26, 2005, with the juvenile hearing for the attack, Mrs. Borloff was asked if she had any estimates for the damages, and she had said no, she did not, that she just had the car fixed, and she wanted to be reimbursed.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now you can step up.
Nope. And she said she had it fixed by Peterson's Garage in Michigan City.
Is that right? I mean, that's easy for me to call.
She's lying, Judge.
No,
She
I
did
brought
state
that estimate with me.
She did not have that estimate that day in court.
Are you telling me now that you did not have the car fixed?
No, ma'am.
Then why would she state that she did?
You have a copy of those minutes?
I asked for them
Do
at
you
our
have a
court.
copy of the
No,
minutes?
ma'am, I don't.
Oh, okay.
They said they were not available, otherwise I would have had them.
Okay. Whether she had the car fixed or she has the estimate, your son's got to pay for the damage. Stop making excuses for him.
I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to state the facts.
First, you tell me that your son caused no damage, because that's what he told you.
Yes,
and you
ma'am.
brought a witness to tell me that Superman didn't cause any damage when he assaulted Tyler. Then you tell me that you shouldn't be responsible because she already had the car fixed, and all she wanted to do was be reimbursed. I'm telling you that you better start thinking about accepting total
I
responsibility
understand that.
for his bad behavior.
But he told me
should
there
not.
was no damages, so...
Well,
Your Honor,
what?
there were tons of people around the car. How I'm not on the side of the car or nothing, you know. I jump into the sunroof. I'm
Too
not
bad.
kicking the
Listen
car.
to me, Alex.
Yes.
Sometimes life isn't fair, my dear, and sometimes the justice... Stand up on your own 2 feet and take your hands off the table. Sometimes the justice system is not as fair as you would like it to be if you're a criminal.
17-year-old Tiffany Borlov says fellow schoolmate, 17-year-old Alex Kinsel, damaged her car when he jumped through the sunroof. Tiffany says Alex was attempting to assault her boyfriend.
When you're a criminal and you commit certain acts of vandalism and you say, well, I did that, but I didn't do that. Of course, they're going to say, listen, I don't have time to figure this out. You jumped up on her car. Common sense suggests that when you jump up on a car and you assault somebody to the extent that you plead guilty to an assault, so it's a serious assault, and according to you, my adrenaline was flowing so that you're able to do things. That's what you told me. So I was able to do things. You never know what your strength is. I don't have to say to myself, well, maybe a deer caused one of these dents, and maybe you caused one of these dents. It's your fault. You're responsible. I can't find the deer. You're it. You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,700. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
That person in there, fault that my friend died.
His friend was my best friend.
So I think he deserved everything he got.
He's like my brother.
I do not believe that he needs therapy.
I don't know. I don't think I'll never rest over it.
Maybe a little bit of counseling to help deal with his anger.
Seeing his picture in the obituaries.
I don't really know what to say to it. I'm just glad it's over.
I hope Alex does get the help he needs.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Weber versus Gonzalez-Evans. Step forward.
25-year-old Kendra Weber is suing her former roommates, 22-year-old Andrea Gonzalez and her boyfriend, Kyle Evans, for the return of her security deposit and renter's insurance.
Miss Gonzalez, how long were you and Miss Weber friends before you decided to room together?
About 3 years.
When did you sign this lease, Miss Weber?
On November 8th, 2004.
And how many people signed the lease?
Just us two, Andrea and I.
And what was your agreement?
We were to split all of the bills and rent 50-50 two ways.
And this must be Kyle.
That's correct.
Who is Kyle?
Kyle is my boyfriend.
Kyle didn't sign the lease.
No, he did not.
You moved out.
Yes, that's correct.
It is your claim that you moved out because things were made totally untenable with the apartment, and you wanted to move in with your boyfriend.
This is correct.
And you want some of your security deposit back and some renter's insurance.
That's correct.
Several $100s. And Miss Gonzalez and Mr. Evans say that you're not entitled to it. You moved out and you knew that you were going to forfeit any monies that you put into the apartment. Did you move in November of 2004?
Yes.
When did you move out?
April 30th.
And you had paid your rent up until that time?
Yes, I had.
And for my own information, when did Kyle move in?
It was just about a week or two after we moved in, so still in November of 2004.
And what was the rent on the apartment?
$12.75 for the first 6 months, and after that, $13.75.
And how much were you paying?
The first month I paid half, and then after he moved in, we split it 3 ways, $4.25 apiece.
And how much security deposit did you put in, Kyle?
I didn't put any in.
Why?
I wasn't on the lease.
Well, you were living there.
For the majority of the time, I was living there.
So why didn't you pay security deposit?
Because the security deposit was worked out between the defendant and plaintiff.
Are you still living there?
Yes.
You are?
Yes.
How much security deposit did you put in now?
Nothing.
Nothing. Well, now you're going to put in her security deposit, Kyle. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. So you're going to give her $285, and then when you move out, if you keep the place nice and clean, you're going to get your $285 back. Doesn't that sound fair to you?
Yes.
Perfect. See how easy this is? Now let's deal with the renter's insurance. Did you pay the renter's insurance?
I paid half of it, yes.
You paid half. How much did you pay, Kyle?
None.
Why not, Kyle?
Because I wasn't officially living there. I was in
What do you
between.
mean you're not officially living there? You were living there, Kyle, because you were paying a third of the rent after 1 month of them signing the lease. You were officially living there. You're not a moron, are you? You wouldn't pay rent in an apartment where you weren't living, would you?
No, I was helping my girlfriend out.
Well, where else were you paying rent, Kyle?
Nowhere else, but I was also with my mom.
You weren't paying any rent to your mom?
No.
He was not living with his mom.
Just a second. Of course he wasn't living with his mom. He thinks because I'm older than he is, I'm stupid. You think all old people are stupid?
No.
Very good. So, you wouldn't pay rent for a place where you weren't living. What do you do for a living?
Loan setup. I work in the mortgage industry.
And how do you get to work every day?
I drive.
A what?
A car.
In whose name is the car?
That would be in my mom's and my name.
Is it in your mom's name because you're too young to have a car in your name?
No, it's just I needed a co-signer on the car.
Oh, but your mom doesn't drive in the car?
Not usually, no.
It's your car?
For the most part, yes.
And how far does your mom live away from you?
I'd say about 15 miles.
So how long does it take you to drive when you go visit her?
10 minutes.
So she doesn't come on the weekends to take your car, does she?
No, but I visit her on the weekends.
You do?
Yes.
And the rest of the time you live where?
I live most of the time over there. There are nights where I do go over there.
What a moron. All right, listen to me, Kyle. You're going to give Miss Weber $313. $285 of that represents her security deposit, which you have now taken over. Do you understand? When you're neat and clean and tidy and you and your girlfriend decide to move out, you'll get the $285 back. Doesn't that sound fair to you?
There was also damage
I'm
done.
speaking. Does that sound fair to you?
Yes.
Then you have renter's insurance. Now, renter's insurance covers any property that may be in the apartment. How much property does she have in the apartment?
At that time or right now?
Now!
None.
How much property do you have in the apartment?
A good amount, I believe.
Good. Then the renter's insurance is going to help you out. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $313. It's been delightful chatting with you. Thank you.
This is case number 301 on the calendar in the matter of Elliott versus Elliott Pruitt. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Is that child necessary in the courtroom?
He's a witness.
How old is he?
5.
I'd like him to wait outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Miss Elliott, the defendant is your brother and the co-defendant is his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
According to you, you made a series of loans to your brother, which was only partially repaid. And then you claim that he assaulted you.
Yes.
And the vast majority of your claim is for damages as a result of that assault. That's what this is about. Your brother says that he paid you back and that it was actually you who assaulted him. So let's first start with the loans. When did you make these loans and what were they for?
Some were for miscellaneous things to start a new house.
When?
In April.
And how much did you give him in April?
$149 for the miscellaneous things, and then $465 for his first month's rent, and $20 for a credit check to get the place.
Now, Mr. Elliott, is it correct that your sister gave you that money?
Yes. Plus, I loaned him a futon, a box fan, and a ceiling fan that was to be returned to me.
Futon and 2 fans. Okay. How much did he pay you back for the loans?
He gave me one payment of $318, one payment of $3, and one payment of $50.
What was the $3 payment?
That's all she gave me that day. She said that's all they had.
So all told, they repaid you $371.
Yes.
Okay, tell me about the loans.
Well, I got it right here. This is my evidence for you to look at, that we paid him.
Did he ever sign a check over to you in the amount of $418?
Yeah, right around 5th of April, they got a check from AFDC for $418, and I cashed it and gave them $100 back. They said they needed it.
Does that sound right? Probably. I believe her. Speak.
She only gave us $100 back. It wasn't
That's what I just
$160.
said.
No, that's what she said. She gave you $100 back.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
So the answer is yes, she gave you $100 back. So what else are you showing me? What is $930?
That was for the lease because she helped us get the house
No.
and stuff.
I'm asking you about the rest of the money. She said that you gave her back
Oh, I didn't bring in,
$318,
I didn't bring in my,
$3 and $50.
I didn't bring in my check stubs, but we don't have any receipt for the money that we exchanged because we didn't think it was going to be an issue.
What do you mean you don't think it was going to be an issue? What did you think you were coming here for? Ballet lessons?
No.
So you have no proof that you have fully repaid this loan, is that correct?
No.
Fine, so you owe her $263 on the loan.
Yes.
Yes. Why couldn't we just get there right from the beginning? Now, you have the futon and the 2 ceiling fans. Where are they?
In storage.
In storage. Well,
Yes.
those you'll get back to her.
Yes.
Fine. 5 days from today, she gets back the futon and the 2 ceiling fans.
There is a restraining order for them not to come near me, so how?
Oh, that's all right. We'll arrange for it. Do you have a local precinct?
Yes.
Yes.
At noon on the 5th of next month, your U-Hauler, the futon, and the 2 ceiling fans are to be in front of the precinct. Got it?
Yes.
Noon, high noon, futon and 2 fans. Now let's talk about this assault, because that's the remainder of your complaint. Let me hear.
I went over there and was sitting down talking to Candace. He came in and started yelling with his hands in my face. I started to say something. He said, I didn't tell you could talk, you B-I-T-C-H. And I stood up and was going to go out the door, but he was standing in front of the door. He had welding gloves on because that's what he was doing at the time, was welding work. He slapped me across the face. She was behind me in the living room and yelled, Jeremy, no. And he kept yelling. I said, that's it. I'm taking my name off the lease if you're not going to be responsible and respect me. He got mad and was still yelling. So I tried to get out the door, and he was trying to, with his body, push me back in or not let me out, blocking me. And he punched me in the face. I said, that's it, I'm calling the cops. And he kept yelling, you don't do that to family. I said, you don't hit family either. I said, I'm out of here, that's it. I don't care. She's yelling, Kathy, just leave. I'm trying to leave, but well, he's not there anymore. My nephew has a heart condition and had open heart surgery, and he was with me. He was so scared he wouldn't go to the car. I'm trying to get him out of the way because he can't have any blows or anything to his chest. At that time, after he hit me the second time, I do believe I pushed him a little bit to get him away so I could get out the door. I came outside trying to get Lorenzo, telling him to move.
That's your nephew?
Yes, and he's scared. He's not going nowhere. I'm pushing him. He comes at me again. I did have a 32-ounce plastic cup in my hand that I threw and told him to get away from me, that I was leaving. I was calling the cops. He's still yelling, you don't do that to family, and a bunch of other nice little names. And he came at me again. I did grab him in a headlock so that my face would not get punched anymore because it hurt. When I put him in the headlock, she jumped on my back. So I pushed him away, and I don't know where she went after that because she was no longer on my back. When he went to the ground, I grabbed my nephew and shoved him towards the car, and he came after me, threw my nephew in, went to get in. My window was down. He punched me in the left face again as I was in the car, and I took off and called the police.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kathleen Elliott says her brother, Jeremy Elliott, owes for unpaid loans, the return of property, and an assault. Jeremy says Kathleen is crazy and attacked him first.
Now we'll hear from you. Don't smile. Whether the story is accurate or not, it's nothing to laugh about.
It didn't exactly go down like that.
Well, I'm waiting, sir, for your version of the events.
What happened was my boss said that somebody was waiting out front of my work. He says, you need to go out there because they're asking for you. So I walk out there, and it's my sister. She was waiting out there from 4 o'clock till 5 o'clock, knowing I don't get off till 5 o'clock. And my boss was you need to tell her to leave. So I walked out there, you need to leave. I'm waiting for you to pay me. I said, well, I understand that, but I'm not off work yet, and you can't be out here.
Okay, your sister's waiting outside, waiting for you to give her some money that you owe her. So it comes 5 o'clock and you leave work. What did you do?
I get on my bike, I start riding.
Did you stop? You say, I'm going home, I'll see you home?
I said I was going to the liquor store.
You said you were going to the liquor store?
Yeah.
Is that right? No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Mr. Elliott, I have a detector back here. So I want you to be very careful what you say to me, sir. So let's get past the fact that you told her you were going to the liquor store to cash your check so that you could give her the money you owed her, because that never happened. You got on your bike and you rode home, right?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I proceeded on down Wilson Way, and then she's going at 5 miles an hour with traffic behind her screaming, I'm going to get my money one way or another, screaming and hollering at me and making a public scene. So I turned down one of the streets that she couldn't turn down. I don't remember the name of it. I got to the liquor store, and she wasn't there. So my house was right behind the liquor store, and she was there when I got there. I walked in the door and said, sis, we need to talk. For one, you can't be out front of my work. My boss is going to fire me over this. You're screaming, yeah, I need to pay you, I need to pay you. Well, give me some time to pay you. I can't pay you like that. I mean, I got to pay my bills. I have all kinds of other bills I have to pay back, too. That's when she gets up off the futon, and she like rhinoed me. That's how they put it. They rhinoed me out the door, and I hit the pole, and then after that, I don't know what happened because I was in a headlock.
So you're saying that you never punched her?
Nope.
You never put your hands on her?
You hit her with the glove.
Yeah, I hit her with the glove.
You did?
Yes.
When did you hit her with the glove?
Right before she grabbed me in the headlock.
You have
But
any
she'd already shoved me.
photographs? Do you have any
I have photographs that they
I'd
took
like
right
to see.
afterwards, and I have a medical report saying
like
that
to
there's
see both,
bruises,
please.
and they took x-rays.
I'd like to see.
And there's somehow my foot got stepped on, and there's a picture of the mark that there's still a scar. There's some cuts on the cheek where they did a close-up from when he hit me open-handed with the welding gloves on the first time.
I see what appear to be scratches on your face that are consistent with being hit with something rough. Nothing black and blue.
Well,
no
that was
open
only half an
abrasions.
hour later.
You have
My-
any photographs afterwards?
No, they didn't come out.
I can't look at something that didn't come
But
out.
my sister saw the bruising afterwards.
If you had bruising afterwards, you take photographs. Were you arrested for this, sir?
No, I was not.
How come?
Because the deputy that we talked to, he said it just looks like it was a
Family dispute.
family dispute. And if I told him I said I didn't have no problems, and
She was on our property.
I did file a restraining order shortly after.
What happened with it?
I have a restraining order.
still
Right now,
going.
it's good for 3 years.
You do?
Yes.
Can I
for
see
him
it,
to stay away
please?
from me and my nephew.
Can I see it, please?
They didn't bother to come.
How come you didn't show up for the hearing?
because at the time I was moving and I didn't receive the paperwork for it.
No, that's not true. That's a lie.
Served by the sheriff's
That's
department.
a lie.
At work.
I told you. Don't lie. She has proof of service by a sheriff, right?
Yes, at my work.
I didn't ask you whether you were served at your home or your work or on Mars. You were served, so why do you tell me that you weren't served?
I didn't mean it that I wasn't served.
That's what you just said. Isn't that what he just said?
On that paperwork, there
I
wasn't
wasn't
no
served and I
address.
was moving.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
Or not address,
That's
the
what he
date.
All right. Miss Elliott, listen to me. He certainly owes you the $263. What was your unreimbursed medical?
$86.93.
Let's make it $90.
Well, I also had to pay for medicine out of my own pocket for
And how much was that?
$43.54, and I had to go to physical therapy, cost gas, and then I had to pay $22 for the pictures and stuff from the police department.
Don't talk to me about gas. You had $133 out-of-pocket expense for both your medicals and your medicine.
Yes.
Those two things. 10 times that. $1,593. That's 10 times what your actual damages were. Okay? Plus what he owes you for the loan. Because, Mr. Elliott, I don't believe anything that you say, sir. And I didn't even ask you anything. Right?
Yeah.
You have your judgment?
If they don't return the furniture.
Oh, they'll return the furniture.
Not in good shape.
You didn't expect it back in great
Yes,
shape.
I did. They promised it would be returned in good condition.
How long have you known that he was marginal madam?
He had never been marginal to me.
But you knew that he was
And
marginal
I
with other people.
Was in another state.
Just a minute. You knew he was
Yes, I
marginal with
did.
other people. You know, you got to use your good judgment. That's all.
Pardon's our excuse. You may step out.
Well,
It's wrong.
It's wrong.
He was lying and she knew it.
I just hope she's happy now and she just goes on with her life.
He needs to grow up and act like a man.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Haddon versus McCallum, step forward, please.
25-year-old retail manager Cynthia Haddon is suing ex-roommate, 23-year-old ticket broker Andrew McCallum for breaking their lease. Andrew says he broke the lease because Cynthia is unstable.
Miss Haddon, the defendant was your roommate, according to your complaint. You claim that he moved out in the middle of the month of September 2001, owing you some rent and bills, and he also took some property of yours. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
The defendant said he's all paid up. When did he move in with you?
We moved in.
You moved in together?
Together.
And you were just friends?
Yes.
You signed a lease?
Yes, we have a lease that we shared.
Can I see it, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Our month, actually, Your Honor, begins on September 15th.
It's beginning the 15th of each month.
Absolutely.
And you moved out on September 16th. Is that right, sir?
No, ma'am.
When
Moved
did you
out on September 15th.
Okay. So you signed this lease, sir. Is that right?
Yes, I did, ma'am.
And the lease requires that you give 30 days written notice to the landlord.
Okay.
May I see that, please?
I actually, I had spoke with our manager of the apartment complex, and basically I explained my situation.
Don't tell me what you explained to the manager of your apartment complex, sir, because it says that no oral notice is acceptable.
Okay.
Okay. Did you move out subsequently?
No, Your Honor. I've maintained the apartment. I've stayed there.
Okay. Do you have a new roommate?
Yes, as of October 15th, I have a new roommate.
Okay. And how much was your share of the rent?
My share of the rent was $400, Your Honor.
Actually, Your Honor, we
Why?
had an agreement beginning in the end of August. Andrew and I had a conversation where I asked him, since his girlfriend was moving in, if he could actually split the cost of the rent halfway down the middle, and he said not a problem. So that would be $425 apiece.
Well, did he pay half the rent in August?
No, beginning September's rent.
Oh, forget it. Then he moved out.
Yeah, then he moved out.
Then he moved
exactly.
out. So he owes you $400 for September's rent. So you have to give a $400.
And then-
Now, what about utility bills, etc.?
I have the Edison bill, which was not the month for Andrew, but the past due balance of $87.79, which reflects the month before that, was the month that he was there.
Did you pay that bill?
Right here, Your Honor.
What's the date on it?
The date on it is 9/15. I actually wrote this check. I post-dated it. I wrote it on the 13th. Your
Was it
Honor.
cashed?
Was it cashed? Yeah. Sitting right
It's
here. I
cashed.
got it from my
May I
statement.
see it?
It was written to Southern California Edison.
Yes, Your Honor, that was also for the month of August's bill. We were in mid-cycle when he moved.
Well, I don't know that, madam. You don't have the bill. He has a check for $191.70 dated 9/15/01.
Yes.
Okay.
And I have that bill that he paid, actually, and it shows the dates on there, right here.
(8/2 to 8/31).
Yes, Your Honor. He moved out on September 15th.
Oh, stop it. Stop annoying me with petty stuff. He doesn't owe you $87 for 15 days.
I called the...
He doesn't owe you $87 for 15 days. What else?
I also have a copy of the cable bill in the amount of $71.77.
For what period of time?
It was actually for the period of 9/22 to 10/21.
He wasn't even there to watch cable. Next.
I loaned him my television antenna in his room for his television, and he took that with him.
Did you take an antenna?
No, ma'am.
What else?
He also took several items from me, ranging from CDs to Nintendo games.
CDs? How many CDs did he take?
I don't know.
I can't believe I went to law school for this. What CDs did he take from you?
I have a Creed CD, a Sugar Ray CD, Alanis Morissette CD, and an Eminem CD.
Nope.
Do you have those CDs?
I have Creed. I have purchased on my own. I probably can find the receipt if I wanted. I don't own any of the other ones. So, Your Honor, the answer is no.
What else?
Also a 007 Nintendo 64 video game.
You have something to say. You have the Nintendo game?
That's my game. I have the credit card receipt at home for that game.
She says it's hers. You say it's yours. How am I supposed to figure
There
that
were
out?
two. He had one of his own, and I
Yeah,
had
we left one there, and I took mine.
Also, Your Honor, on September 16th, I went and saw him there removing his stuff from the property. He had with him my belongings, which was a television cart stand. I saw it immediately and knew it was mine, and I took it back. as well as a CD tower rack. I noticed that, and he gave it back. And I also had realized that my Nintendo 64 controller was gone, and I asked him for it, and he gave that back.
Why did you pack up those items that weren't yours?
Okay. The CD tower rack she had given to me in the month of March because I needed another rack for my CDs.
And what about the other stuff?
The Nintendo controllers, it was pretty much a foul-up. I have a total of 5 controllers that I bought myself. I do have receipts for because my other controllers had been faulty.
So it was
I
a
bought new
mistake?
ones. It was just an honest mistake.
Okay, what
so
about
I handed it right
the
back
TV
with a smile
stand?
on my face.
TV stand?
I didn't even have a clue about that.
Well, you took it.
Huh?
You took it.
Yeah.
But it was a mistake.
It was a mistake, Your Honor.
Like, he owes you $400 for his share of the rent. He didn't give proper notice. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $400. That's all.
In the matter of Ronstadt versus Nelson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Miss Ronstadt, when did you and the defendant start to live together?
Approximately May 1st, 2000.
And when did you separate?
He left on the 19th of July, 2001.
Were you both working at the time?
I was not working. He had lost his job the day prior.
So how did you support the household?
I have a nervous system disease, and I was receiving disability payments.
You were receiving disability?
Which exceeded his income.
No, that's a false statement, Your Honor.
Oh.
Yes, it is.
What kind of work were you doing, sir?
I'm a computer technician.
And how much did you earn last year?
$63,000.
Okay. Now, did you move into a new apartment together, or did you move in with him, or did he move in with you?
We moved into a new apartment together. I was making $110,000 at the time I lost my job, and I was receiving disability payments in excess of $2,600 a month.
Your Honor, she was borrowing money from her mother to support this.
This lawsuit has to do with the fact that you claim that you purchased for your joint use a motorcycle.
That's correct.
That's a false statement, Your Honor.
Mr. Nelson, I don't want to hear from you until I look in your direction or ask you a question.
Okay.
That he won't return to you.
That's correct.
Mr. Nelson says that you purchased this motorcycle for him as a gift. That's
Yes, Your Honor, that's true.
Okay. Now, I would like you to tell me the circumstances surrounding the purchase of this motorcycle. When was it purchased?
It was purchased on April 20th, the year 2001. I purchased it because when I lost my job, we had a fair amount of money to live on, but by April, it became apparent that it just wasn't going to make it. I talked to Mr. Nelson, took a full 401k distribution. I got approximately $17,000 left. I have all the proof here. The bike cost $9,400. I did so because he was driving a 4Runner. The 4Runner was costing about $500 a month in just gas alone. And we needed to cut down on our daily expenses. We could not fork out that amount of money on a daily basis for gas. Plus, he had to pay a toll fee to go across the bridge to get to work. Using a motorcycle, you avoid the toll fee.
So
we bought the bike.
Now I'll hear from you.
Your Honor, on my birthday, 4/10, she told me that for my birthday as a gift that she would be buying a motorcycle for me. And it's a wonderful gift. Plus, it will save on the gas and all these other things. This was not for our use, it was for my use, and it was a gift as a birthday present. 4/10, we had discussed going to look at motorcycles on the weekend. We did so on Sunday, April 15th, and put a deposit of $100 on the motorcycle in question. We were waiting on the rest of the 401k loan to come in, and it did come in. Sorry?
Not a 401k loan, a 401k payout. She got cash.
Okay, yeah. Well, she took that money and told me that she was going to pay the debts that were incurred because of her out-of-control spending with eBay and whatnot, the debts that she was creating, as well as buying a motorcycle for me as a gift. We went back on 4/21 and paid the remainder of the balance. She was talking to the salesman, and I have a written statement from the salesman.
Don't tell me what the salesman said.
This is very important.
And the salesman should have been here.
He couldn't come here because he's a salesman. He couldn't make it. He doesn't know me. Why would he take the time to come to the
Not
court?
a reason. That's hearsay.
Okay.
Mr.
Well,
Nelson.
she also told Jamie Curley and my mother. We rode the motorcycle to my mother's house, and she boasted of this beautiful gift that this generous gift that she bought for her son, as a birthday gift.
Why did you leave in July?
We were having some difficulties. We were having a lot of difficulties, and she was adding a lot of stress to my life, and plus my children. She was not really caring for my children or very sympathetic towards the the situation between my children and I. She didn't want them around. She was trying to control how often I saw my children and
But
whatnot.
that wasn't a recent thing. That probably had been going on for
This
a while.
has been, yes, yes.
Was it going on before April of 2001?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
So what'd you take this very expensive gift for?
Because it was a gift for me.
So why did you accept a very expensive gift if things weren't going well?
They weren't going too well, but I mean, these things were tolerable, and it was getting progressively worse. When she lost her job, you know, things just kept going downhill from there. And, you know, I got to a point where I was just fed up and I was done.
Now, one of the defenses that you have to this action, other than the fact that it was a gift, is that you say that jointly you purchased furniture for this apartment that you moved in together, and the only thing that you left with was the motorcycle.
It wasn't, I wanted to leave clean. I didn't want to have it drag out or anything, and we had discussed, she said I could take, you know, I told her 3 things that I wanted. I'm going to take, I said I'd like to take the computer desk, the DVD player, and our big screen TV, and that's it, and you can have the rest, and I'm leaving. And I didn't include the motorcycle because that was a gift and that was mine, so I didn't ask her, is it okay if I take my motorcycle? I had a police civil standby because her son got out of control that night and brought 2 friends over. And
did you in fact take this TV?
No, I did not. She wouldn't allow me to take the TV because
So did you take anything from the apartment?
No. Excuse me. I took my clothes, my belongings, and
the motorcycle.
And the motorcycle. And the police wanted me to get my stuff and get out. They were there on a civil standby, and I was standing right next to an officer when I rode off with the motorcycle.
Now, who paid for all the furniture in the apartment?
She paid partially, and we had a joint account and whatnot, so I don't know exactly how much of what we paid for.
How much money did you put into the joint account each week?
Actually, I have it right here. I have statements right here.
I have a statement also, Your Honor.
How much money did he put into the joint account each week?
$1,263 every 2 weeks.
Okay, and what was the rent on the apartment?
$1,800.
$1,850, Your Honor.
Excuse me. This motorcycle was not an issue, if I may. This motorcycle was not an issue until after I'd left and she saw Miss Curley riding on the back of my motorcycle. We left the place, and then Miss Rungstad told me that she said, now, because of this stunt, you're going to lose the motorcycle. And that's when it became the issue.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lori Rongstad is suing her ex-boyfriend, Eric Nelson, for the cost of a motorcycle. Eric says Lori is jealous of his new fiancée.
Is it accurate that he put in about it would come out to about $2,700 a month?
He put it in, but he also had bills that used up all of that money.
I want to know who paid for furnishing the apartment.
I did. I sold over $80,000 worth of stock options. I bought all of the bedroom furniture prior to us ever moving in and charged it on an American Express card.
Are you telling me that he did not contribute to purchasing anything for the apartment?
No, ma'am, he didn't, because I had the cash. I had over $30,000 when we moved in. The only things that we needed to buy once we moved in were we bought a big screen TV, a DVD player, and a couple of VCRs.
Where did you pay for that from?
At that time, we did not have a joint account.
Where did the money come from?
From myself, from my stock option sales.
Your Honor, I also had stock that I had sold as well, and plus I also put extra money in that we bought stock together, and she put it in her son's name, and then sold the stock, and we used that money as well, so it's not going to look like it came from me at all, but that's what happened.
There's never been any stock in my son's name ever, and that can be proved through IRS records if needed.
I'd like to pull
Now,
those.
I have one other question. The car that you had, the truck that you had, was that sold?
No, ma'am.
Did you continue to use it for the months of May and June?
Yes, I did at times, yes.
So you kept that. Do you drive?
I do drive, but I have my own vehicle.
What kind of vehicle do you have?
At the time, I had a Chrysler Concorde. However, it was tampered with, and the engine no longer worked, so I had to turn that in and buy a new car.
But when this motorcycle was purchased, you did not sell the other car that he had.
No.
That car was retained.
That's correct.
Now, do you have both vehicles now, sir, the motorcycle and that other car?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
You have both?
Yes.
Okay, and you had both in the month of May?
Yes, I did.
And you had both in the month of June?
Yes.
It was a gift. It was a gift, Miss Rostad. Now, it may have been a gift that you decided should not be a gift because the romance didn't last more than a couple of months after you gave it to him, but that's really not dispositive.
No,
I would accept what you said to me about saving all the money because of saving all the gas money, et cetera, If the agreement was that he was going to sell the car that he had or the truck that he had so that there would be no additional expense, but there is certainly no saving by having two vehicles, two insurance, two repairs, two everything else. I mean, I think that, yes, oh yes.
May I say
think that it
something?
is, no. I think that it's probably not the moral thing to do to accept this very pricey gift, sir, from somebody where the relationship wasn't going right. You know, guys like big toys, so you're going to take it anyway because where else were you going to get a $9,000 present? But I certainly think it was not the moral thing to do. Do we understand each other?
Yes, I do. I left the house, Your Honor, without taking anything, so I
Well, my
understand
sense is, from what the plaintiff tells me, that she had far more financial resources
I
to
agree.
spend to furnish that house than you did. I was a little sympathetic when I first read your answer, and you said, I walked out of this relationship with nothing. We had furnished a house for $25,000, and I just left with this gift and my clothes. Until I ascertained, sir, that you have children for whom I'm sure you pay child support, that you did put in certain joint monies into a joint account, but that went to pay off some bills. You had a car, you had insurance, you had gas. That eats up what you put in to the joint account. So I don't see that you had a lot left over to buy furniture. Whether it was a big screen TV, because that would have been a single guy's paradise to leave a relationship with a big screen TV and a motorcycle. So I'm sorry I can't help you, madam.
May I please say a couple other items that I was not able to say?
Sure.
Anything that was a gift, I gave him. I bought him Yardrow Eagles. I bought him a number of very expensive items. I gave those to him. Those were pure gifts. I was down to all of the last money I had in my life, my 401k. I would not have used half of that to buy him a gift. Also,
Yes, you did.
No, he also
Yes,
did not.
you did.
Ma'am, he also did not use
You shouldn't have used, if it wasn't a gift, you should not have used half the money that you have in your whole life to buy him a motorcycle.
Your Honor.
That's not smart.
I know
And
it
don't give me
wasn't.
all the baloney about he was going to save money on gas. Common sense suggests to me that if you were going to buy somebody a car to save money.
Why
so
did I
that-
put it in my name?
No. Listen to me carefully. You would buy him a car for $8,000.
It
because-
doesn't get
because
across the
I'm-
bridge fast.
Hey!
He was
Did I look at you and ask you a question? A motorcycle is not something that one buys to save money.
It is.
No.
I
A
also grew up with
four-cylinder
them.
little car just to get you to and from work can save money,
Yes.
right? A motorcycle is a boy toy.
I like motorcycles, and I've always had them.
Good. Buy yourself another one. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's obviously filled the judge's head with lies. I mean, they won when they're purely evil people.
We were next door neighbors, and Lori, Lori won't take any responsibility for their breakup.
I have 20 police reports of all the harassment.
A woman scorned.
After I left her, I got involved with Jamie Curley, and she's off at that.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Clark versus Bruni. Step forward, please.
21-year-old student Elizabeth Clark is suing 21-year-old student Callie Bruni for the unpaid balance on a trip to Cancun.
I gather that you and a friend decided to take a trip to Mexico, a vacation to Mexico. Is that right?
Yes.
And you prepaid the trip, and shortly before you were supposed to leave, you got sick.
Yes.
Mono?
Yes.
Somehow there was an arrangement made with the defendant to take your place on the trip. You claim she paid you some money for the trip, but still owes you a substantial amount.
That's correct.
So when were you scheduled to leave on the trip?
March 8th.
When did you get sick?
February 14th. I was hospitalized March 1st through the 6th.
And at what point did it become non-refundable?
I'm not exactly sure.
Well, it becomes non-refundable. Certainly you would agree that by February 14th, when you got sick, it was non-refundable.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
So you stood to lose all of your money, right?
Yes.
Now tell me what the arrangements were with the defendant.
The arrangements were when I was in the hospital between my witness Shannon and Callie that she was going to pay me money before I left.
Just a minute. So you never had a discussion with the defendant?
No, I did not.
Your witness did?
Yes, she did.
Step up. Tell me your name.
Shannon Powers.
You were supposed to go on the trip
With
Miss
Beth.
Clark.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you do? You contacted the defendant?
Yes, I did.
Okay. She was a friend of yours?
Yep.
Was she a friend of yours?
No.
Go ahead.
I kind of
struggled around to find someone to go because we both stood to lose a lot of money. And the agreement...
Right, because it was non-refundable.
Yep.
Right.
The agreement between Callie and myself was she would give or send Beth a check or money for $400 and then pay her the remainder of the $574 in the summer when she started working.
Was that your agreement?
No.
Let me hear what your agreement was.
The agreement was $700. My parents gave $400, and I thought the agreement was that Shannon's parents gave $100 for me, and then that I was paying Beth $200 in the summer. I would never agree to pay that $978 when she was going to lose all her money.
How much did you receive altogether so far for this trip?
$400.
$400. And where did the other $100 come from?
From my parents, but I guess they never sent it. I was not aware of that.
Why were your parents going to send Miss Clark another $100?
Because Callie agreed to give me $500, and then she didn't have a license, and she had to get back from New York to Connecticut because she didn't have a passport, and she had to spend the money, the $100, to get back to Connecticut to get her IDs and stuff.
Okay, so you were going to give her parents back the $100?
No. My parents would only give me $400, and Beth's mom would not take the $400. She said $500.
Are you telling me that you actually gave her $500 or $400?
$400, but...
All right, so you still owe her $3. Miss Clark, you never had a conversation with nor a contract with the defendant. Is that right?
Before she left, I did not have contact with her.
Right, so you had no contract with her, right?
Right.
You had no agreement with her whatsoever.
It was between them. But I had a friend who was willing to go instead of Callie before she...
I don't know that. Where's your friend who was willing to go?
I have a document.
I don't read documents. I don't read documents. I mean, you're in the hospital. You stand to lose $974. You took out no insurance to prevent you from losing all this money. I mean, I don't see anybody spending the full amount of the trip. If she knows you're going to lose all of your money, that's not the way people usually operate. They usually operate, well, I'll go on short notice, but I'm not going to spend $1,000 on a trip. She didn't have $1,000. She only had $400. Aside from the fact you didn't have a contract with her.
But that was the agreement that I understood, that she was to pay me money when she got back from the trip.
Yeah.
She paid me $400 and I expected the rest. I worked 2 jobs over my winter break trying to pay for this trip. And I wouldn't have let somebody go on my trip for $700 that I worked 2 jobs for and then I paid for in full.
Next time you take a trip, you should have some insurance.
I never thought that I was going to get sick.
Absolutely. That's why people take out insurance. In any event, you had no contract with the defendant. As far as she was concerned, well, she got a little mixed up with the $100. I guess she figured your mother was going to give her $100 so that you wouldn't lose all your money and therefore you wouldn't go away on this trip alone.
Yeah.
You still owe her $300. Why haven't you paid her?
I was going to pay her the $200 because I never knew that
her mother didn't give the $100.
Yes.
All right.
So I was going to pay her the $200, and then I get in the mail that she's trying to get $530 from me.
So you gave her nothing?
Right.
Well, why didn't you give her at least what you thought you owed her?
Because I knew I had to go to court anyways.
Okay. Well, you owe her $300. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Out of Thomas versus Thomas. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Thomas, the defendant is your former husband, and according to your complaint, he purposefully vandalized your car. When did he do this?
August the 5th.
Where were you?
When the incident happened,
Yes.
I was at his mother's house.
Did he live there as well?
Yes, he does live there.
When were you divorced?
We are not divorced legally.
Because in your complaint you say, my ex-husband. So he is not your ex-husband,
Well,
he is your husband.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have children?
Yes, we do.
How many children do you have? 2?
2 boys.
And you maintain a reasonable relationship with his family?
Somewhat.
What were you doing at his house?
His sister called me that morning to come over.
For what?
We was friends. Me and his sister was good friends. She had called me. Previous to that, me and Marcus was on the phone, had an heated argument over the phone.
What'd you have an argument with him about?
The kids, as usual. The children. We argued because I seen the kids with his father the day before that, and I didn't like the way that they had looked, what they had on. And so when I called him up, I know how we can't really get along. So I said, before you get mad or anything like that, you know how I am, before we argue, you know, I just want to ask you a question. And that's exactly what I did. I said, well, how come the kids, when I went to go see the kids, they had on clothes that was too small, their hair wasn't combed, and, you know.
Who has custody of the children?
I do.
So they were visiting with him?
They were visiting with their dad.
Take your hands out of your pockets. Okay, so you had a fight about that.
So we got into an argument about that.
And then the next day, his sister called and said, come on over.
His sister called, said, come on over. I came over there. Marcus comes walking through the door, and I was sitting down. He came over to me and walked over. What's up, B? I'm not going to say the word, what's up, B? I was still sitting there. He wasn't looking at me when he said it, so I wasn't, you know, I'm like, well, I know he's not talking to me. He comes over again. I said, what's up, B? So I stands up. I was like, you're a B. So he gets done yelling. He goes outside. He's out there a minute. I hear my alarm going off on my car. I go look outside. I don't see Marcus nowhere near my car. I don't see Marcus at all. I'm thinking that he maybe left. He's mad and he left. I come back inside. I sit down. I'm like, see, that's why I don't like coming over here, because of this. Right after that, maybe a minute, he comes back in the door. He continues yelling some more. We're still arguing, calling each other names back and forth as we usually do. It's a history with us. So he's yelling at his parents then. He's yelling at them, mad at them. While he's doing that, I get my keys, and I'm leaving. And he comes out. His sister comes out with me. His sister comes out. She's like, come on, Tasha, let's go around the corner and cool off. Okay, fine. We're leaving. He comes out behind us, and he's still yelling, I hate you, you ain't nothing but a B, and da-da-da, and all this. And I'm like, well, I hate you too, I hate you too. So I'm getting in the car to leave, and I rolled down my window to finish arguing with him. Why? I don't know, but I did. We're arguing some more. He comes over to my car like he's getting ready to sock me, but I'm rolling my window up. So he hits my window. I get out the car. Oh, you trying to hit me, Marcus? No, I ain't trying to hit you. Da, da, da. So we're just still arguing there, calling names. I get out the car. I go to my trunk like I'm getting ready to get something to, you know, fight him back with. And I'm like, no, because the last time I was here, last year, we had an incident before, you know, where I got hit and,
Why didn't you just drive away?
That's what I did after, you know.
Well, no.
Why didn't I drive away at the beginning?
You're in the car. You're exchanging words. You could have started the car and driven away. Why did you get out of the car and go to the trunk?
Because I was mad. I wanted to find a bat or something in the trunk to fight him with.
And what were you going to do with it? You're going to hit him with it? So then what happened?
We're still arguing. I'm getting ready to drive off. He picks up a steel pole and just scratches my car. And I'm like, oh, you scratched my car? Liar. So I drive off after that. I turn around. His sister's in the car with me the whole time, seeing everything. We drive around the corner. I get out and I look. I seen the scratch that he did, and I seen the license plates and just like a little dent on my hood that I did. And I told Carrie to get out. I said, see what your brother did to my car? I have a witness. This is what he did. Get back in the car. Go back around. I drop her off before we get to the house, so he's still out there. So I backs back up and I go to the police station to file a report.
Okay. Let me see the car damage.
I have pictures before the car damage and after.
Okay.
Basically, she came to the house, and then I had showed up. We got into an argument, you know.
What'd you get into an argument for?
Because she called me and told me, don't get mad, and she was like, how dare you have my kids outside looking ghetto.
Just a second. Okay. But then she's at your house with your parents.
Right.
What happened when you came in?
I called her. It's like, why are you here? You don't like my family. You know, you never get along with my family. Get out. You know what I'm saying? And she's like, I don't have to leave, you know.
But it's your business. It's not your house.
I live there.
I don't care if you live there. It's your parents' house.
Okay. Yes, it is.
So she's there. Why did you come in and disrespect your wife in front of your parents?
I just was like, man, I didn't think that she should be there. If she hates my mom, she hates my dad. She always is causing conflict. And then,
why didn't you leave?
I don't know. Just because, I don't know. Because I was
all
mad.
Right. So
no reason.
Then you went outside. What'd you do when you went outside?
I was just like, man, you know, have her leave. You know what I'm saying? I moved. I was in the street.
What did you do to her car when you went outside?
At first, I went by her car, was mad. I started shaking her car. She came outside. She didn't do anything, so I pushed on her car some more. It was going doop doop, you know, made a little noise, and then she came outside.
You're talking about pushing the alarm.
Yeah, I tried to trick her alarm so she'll come outside, so she'll leave. Because I knew that would make her actually leave, because she loves her car. I mean, she's material. She loves it. So I was like, I know she'll leave. You know, so when I did that, she came outside. I was like, you got to mess up my car. Oh, man, you da-da-da. Started screaming at me, too. So I was like, okay. And I was like, well, just leave. Just get in your car and go. You know, so she gets in the car. She's like, man, you try to mess up my car, I'll shoot you. I'll smoke you. Jumps out the car, goes to the trunk, opens the trunk up, and it's like, you don't want to get shot. I was like, Daddy, you hear that? She said she's going to shoot me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Natasha Thomas says her estranged husband, Marcus Thomas, vandalized her car. Marcus says Natasha threatened to shoot him.
She got back into the car.
Yes.
And you're still yelling at each other.
Basically.
Then you picked up a
pole.
Why?
I don't know. I was just angry because she said she was going to shoot me. You know
Well, you knew she wasn't going to shoot you because she was in the car,
I
sir.
threw the pole at her before she got out the car. She said she was going to shoot me out the window. She said, I'll smoke you. So I threw the pole. I had a pole in my hand. And I threw it on the ground, and it bounced up and hit the door. That's when it made that scratch on the door. Then she jumped out the car and opened the trunk and was searching through her trunk like she was actually getting something. I don't even remember exactly what happened after that.
Can I see the estimates on your car, please?
There's an incident report, too.
What I find interesting, Ms. Thomas, is that you left out of your complaint the fact that you did, in fact, get out of your car and go and tell him that you were going to shoot him. How come you left that out of your complaint?
I didn't do it purposely.
Okay. Well, that was pretty stupid.
Yeah, it
Right?
was stupid.
Right, because you could have gotten your car and just left. I mean, that doesn't excuse
It was
him
stupid.
damaging your car. You damaged your car. What year car is this?
2000.
What kind of work do you do?
It's concession stand manager at Safeco Field.
What kind of work do you do?
Well, I was working there, but they fired me because she said I harassed her, which I don't. So
No.
I work for a local 440 union doing construction.
It's going to cost $1,831.25 to fix this damage. You have a car?
Actually, I don't.
But you know she loves her car.
Yeah, she loves everything material, of course.
You had no reason, no right to put your hands on her car to trip
Yeah,
the
that
alarm.
is true. That is true.
Yeah, it sure is. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,831.25.
Are you excused? You may step out.
All right. She's just a bitter woman that needs to find a new life.
Marcus needs to be responsible, learn how to grow up.
She came to my house. She provoked me from the very beginning.
He has a problem with himself for taking care of his responsibility.
This is just one incident that she actually happened to win.
As far as us being civil, I hope that can happen for the kids' benefit.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Rosen versus Dina Cola. Step forward, please.
29-year-old computer consultant David Rosen is suing his ex-girlfriend, 26-year-old computer technician Maria Dina Cola, for an unpaid loan to move.
Mr. Rosen, your complaint alleges that you and the defendant were dating for a while, and
Yes.
you made a loan to her in the amount of $3,000, and that was in order to help her move.
Correct.
Tell me when you made this loan to her.
October 4th.
And how long had you been dating before you made this loan to her?
Approximately 6 months.
And tell me the circumstances surrounding the loan.
Well, first off, we met in a chat room on the internet online, and she was moving into a new apartment, and at the time she had the money in her account, but she claimed that her father needed to borrow some money from her for some reason, which I don't really know. And so that meant that to make the rental deposit, she would need to take money out of her 401k, and I just couldn't have her take that money out for tax reasons. And so I wrote her the check for $3,000.
That doesn't sound like a loan.
We verbally agreed.
No, tell me what you said to her and what she said to you. She said to you, I'm going to take the money out of my 401k. And you said to her, don't do that.
I said, and I don't remember the exact wording, but I said,
Try as
on the
closely
condition,
as you can. Yes, don't tell me something. Don't tell me something I'm not going to believe, Mr. Rosen. Tell me something
Right.
very believable.
Right. On the condition that she pays me back within approximately 2 weeks, that I will write this check to her. Now, actually, I do have the canceled check.
She doesn't dispute the fact that you wrote her a check for $3,000.
The canceled check actually has an item in the memo field that
I'd like
says
to
that it
see
was a loan. Yeah.
Just a minute.
Yeah.
Show her this check, please.
That's the check he gave me, but the part about the loan for rental deposit was not there when I cashed that check.
That's possible.
That's not true. It was there when the check was cashed.
Mm-hmm. The pen is the same. Certainly the handwriting is the same. Now, you tell me about the circumstances surrounding this $3,000?
Mr. Rosen and I were in fact dating, and at the point that I was moving into a house, not an apartment. Not only did he give me this money, he co-signed so that I could move in. He paid for my moving expenses, he got me the truck and helped me move. The reason I moved, I was comfortable where I was. He thought that it was a better idea for me to move because he didn't like my neighbors. He expressed sentiments that were racially biased. He didn't like where I lived. He thought it would be better for me to move. Helped me to move, and like I said, co-signed for me to move in, took care of everything for me. Never was I mentioned this was alone. After I moved in, he started to get more and more possessive and more trying to tell me what to do, dictating so far as what I should buy at the grocery store. And my witness here saw that he would. But the point I'm trying to make, Judge,
that's not true.
Mr. Rosen, don't speak to her.
The point I'm trying to make is that he gave me this money so that I would do what he wanted, and
Just
it was
a
not
second. I want you to tell me your version surrounding
the money.
The money.
Okay. There were some things going on in my life, and I did need the money.
For what?
Moving expenses and things like that. To move, to make sure that I was okay when I did move, get things that I needed when I moved, things like that.
Okay, and you didn't have the money.
No.
Why?
I have a child and I work, but I just didn't have enough. I didn't have that amount of money to move. It wasn't within my budget.
Did you in fact tell him that you were going to take money out of your 401k?
Yes, I did. We were dating. We spoke about what I was going to do. Was I going to take money out of my 401k? What should I do? At that point, he then said, I don't mind helping you out. Because at the time, I guess that was how he felt. There were other instances of him doing things like that, giving me money, buying me things.
I don't want to hear about other instances. That's not what we're here
In this instance, he did in fact give me the money. It was not a loan. I would not have taken the loan because I knew that I didn't have the means to pay it back.
No, it absolutely was a loan.
Mr. Rosen, don't speak. Now, on what date did you sign the lease?
To be honest,
think very hard.
I'm going to say the 14th of October. 14th or 15th of October was my move-in date.
That was your move-in date?
Yes.
I asked you when you signed the lease.
The day that I moved in, I signed lease.
When had you found the house?
Right around the 1st of October.
And who went with you to find the house?
Mr. Rosen did. He actually did the looking on the internet for me, helped me find all the ones we went to look at, and he physically took me and we went.
Now, how much after Mr. Rosen gave you this $3,000 did you break up with each other?
I'm going to say December of that same year.
Where had you been living prior to moving into this house?
A condo about an hour away from where I moved.
And how long had you been living there?
Approximately 6 months. It was nearing the end of my lease, so 6 months, ma'am.
When was your lease over there?
October of that year.
So you were planning on moving?
No, ma'am. It was just time to either renew or decide what I was going to do.
Actually, she was being kicked out for noise complaints of the place that she was living in at the time, and she needed to move. Also, as far as proof that this was a loan, I do have an email where she actually states that once she files her taxes, that she plans to repay.
Thank you.
It's the part outlined in blue, the last line or so.
I dispute that I sent him an email because after we both...
Show this to the defendant, please. Seemed to indicate in that email that you planned on paying him back.
Can I respond? I did send him part of that email because he was stalking me, but the part about paying him back was not in the original email. I did not put that part in the email.
I did not modify that email at all.
Shh. Look at me. Don't look at her.
Sorry.
I did. That's a true statement. I did write most of that. I did not write about filing my taxes, only because I didn't get any taxes back, and I knew I wasn't going to. I wrote that because he was constantly stalking me. And
what do you think he was stalking?
I was not stalking
you.
you.
Shh. Hey.
Sorry.
What do you think he was stalking you for?
At the time we broke up, he didn't want to break up. He said he used to leave me phone messages. Never once was there anything about owing me money.
Mr. Rosen, if you speak to her again,
I'm sorry.
Is the only part of this email, madam, that you claim that he distorted or added to the part about your taxes?
Yeah, because
All right. Then let me read to you what you said to him first. You said, my phone wasn't disconnected Friday because I was home all day and my mom and dad kept calling me and I'd been in the hospital the night before. Okay? You wrote that. Like I said, I will email you next week to let you know when you can get your money.
Can I tell you how that was altered? At the time...
That has not been altered.
Mr. Rosen!
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
You keep saying it, but you keep forgetting.
At the time, he had things in mind that he still has, and what we were supposed to meet to do was exchange those things. There was never any mention of the money. What that did say was that he has my rollerblades, which he still has. He has another pair of rollerblades he bought me while we were dating that he wouldn't give back. That's what that email was about. That's it.
Where is your copy of the email?
I don't keep emails. I mean, he keeps everything that's ever sent to him.
Good.
I don't.
Let us say that somebody, out of the goodness of their heart, because they feel as if you are strapped and you have a child, says, here, don't take the money out of your 401k. You'll have tremendous tax consequences. It'll be double that amount. Here's $3,000. And within a brief span of 8 weeks, you break up with each other. You say he broke up with you, you say you broke up with him. Then the right thing to do is to pay him back for $3,000. Doesn't that seem right to you?
Yes, ma'am.
So pay him. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000.
Blackman versus Miller Vaughn. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Who is Mr. Miller?
I am.
Would you sit down, Mr. Vaughn, please? And is this your wife?
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you have a seat?
Thank you.
Mr. Blackman, this is an interesting case. I don't think I've ever tried one like this before. You knew the defendant.
I met him first time at our wedding, actually. He was a friend of a guest.
And according to your complaint, there came a time when you and the defendant arranged to have a young woman from the Philippines, who was, I believe, a cousin of your wife's,
Distant cousin, yes.
come to New York for the purposes of marrying him.
Yes, ma'am.
She came to the United States.
Yes, ma'am.
He didn't marry her.
No, ma'am, he did not.
And you want him to pay for all of the expenses that you incurred, which you say that he had agreed to pay. In addition, at some point, a check was given to you for $1,500, and then payment was stopped on that check, but that check was written by Mr. Vaughn at the defendant's request. So that's why he is a co-defendant. But he's really a nominal co-defendant. Okay, so when was your wedding, and when did you meet the defendant?
In February of '99, the defendant was at our wedding. A few days later, he came to a Valentine's dance party, and that's where I spoke to him about our site, FilipinoGirlsTours.com. I said,
No. Speak slowly, because we're missing. You had a website?
Yes, ma'am, a small business. I met my wife through Pen Pal Club, and when she came over, she goes, I have many friends that would like to come too, so we put up a free Pen Pal site where people could get free addresses and phone numbers, stuff like that, and correspond. I don't know if he first saw that site, or I really don't know, but he came to our wedding, and then at the party he was there. And I said, well, you know, we do have a cousin of hers that's real cute on our site. Would you like to meet her? And he said, well, I'd be interested. So I gave him the contact information, the address, the phone number. She did not have email at the time. And from there, it progressed. They got to know each other well.
They got to know each other via mail.
Mail and phone, yes.
And
many phone calls. Okay. And he went over there on his own.
He went to the Philippines?
Yes.
And visited. That is correct. Mm-hmm. When did you go to the Philippines, sir?
It was April or May. I don't remember exactly what the date was.
Of 1999?
Yes.
Okay. And you went and you met this young lady.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yes, when he returned, he relayed to me how happy he was, how he would treat her so nicely, that he really loved her. And he was very frustrated that they were never left alone this whole time. And in the Philippines, most girls are very chaperoned. This particular woman had never dated really in her life. Very, very sheltered. And I helped him with his paperwork to bring her over because we had just started our site and I wanted to get more experience in the fiancé visa part and what have you. So I did all his paperwork for him.
What's a fiancé visa?
In order to bring a girlfriend, fiancé to the United States from another country, you must file paperwork with our government saying that you met her, prove that you met her, and that it's a legitimate relationship and you want to marry her. And you bring her over, you do all this paperwork.
Do you have a copy of that application?
I do not have a copy of his, per se.
I need a copy of his.
I do not. I have the form, but I have all the financial responsibility forms that he signed.
Can I see that, please?
Yes, ma'am. Saying that he would be responsible for her as long as she was here. Okay. I've highlighted the...
Okay, and you signed this financial affidavit, sir, on the 31st of August, 1999. Is that right?
I'd have to see it.
Sure.
Yes.
Good. So you signed a financial affidavit in August of 1999 agreeing to be financially responsible for this young lady when she came to this country.
Right. It said that I would be responsible so that she wouldn't be a burden upon our state.
That's correct, but that's only one of the affidavits that you signed. That's why I read the second one very carefully, which is The first one says that you agree that she will never become a public charge while
Right.
she's here. But the second affidavit that you signed, sir, says that a plaintiff may seek specific performance of my support obligation. And you acknowledge that any federal, state, local, or private agency that pays any means-tested public benefit or benefit on behalf of the sponsored immigrants has standing to sue you to meet my financial obligations. Okay, I got it. Now, when did the young lady come here?
She arrived on Friday, the 28th or 29th of January, I believe. The wife and I actually picked her up at the airport because the defendant said he could not get off work to pick her up. So we drove to Atlanta from Asheville, a considerable distance, picked her up, brought her that evening, left him at his apartment, where I even helped him move to. That night, they were alone. It was Super Bowl weekend. That Sunday, they came over. The girl was very, very upset with herself, what have you. Mr. Miller had talked her into giving up something very precious to her, which was her virginity, which is something these girls really hold proper to them, because he had spent so much money to bring her here and so much effort. She figured, well, he's going to marry me, it's okay. The way things worked out, she found out she did not know we had loaned him the money to bring her here, because that wasn't...
Now, tell me about that loan.
Mr. Miller was in the process of moving, and I had gotten to know him a little bit, doing his paperwork for him and what have you, and he seemed to be a very nice fellow. So I helped him move, brought his washing machines over to my house to store, because he didn't have a place to put them, things like that. After he moved, we picked up the girl, brought her to his house and what have you.
Tell me about the money.
Oh, the money. During this move, he's saying he had put deposits down for this, for the phone, for the apartment and everything, and he was very low on money. And I figured the girl's a cousin of my wife, so I said, would you like to have a loan to bring her here? I could loan you the money for the plane ticket as long as it did not take too long to pay me back. And he said, oh, I could pay you back in 90 days, no problem. I just started a new job.
How much was the ticket?
The ticket itself was, I don't know, he sent the money to her. I gave him $675 cash.
Is that correct? That he gave you $675 in cash?
No.
He never gave you any money?
No.
He's lying, Your Honor.
Okay, so that's in dispute. $675 in cash you gave him.
Yes, ma'am. And I even asked my wife if I could take it out of our savings account. She's a joint member of that account, and she said yes, because it was for her cousin. That'd be fine.
Okay. Go ahead.
I had loaned him the money. I picked him up the day before she was to arrive. He called me and said, I can't get off work. Could you please pick her up? I said, sure, I'd be glad to. We went down, picked her up, brought her to the apartment. That weekend followed.
Okay, then you told me about the problem.
Right.
When she came to your house. All right.
Right.
Did he ever tell you that this wasn't going to work out?
The first indication I had of any problem was that Thursday, he did not show up one night. He kept on showing up later each night, coming home. And Wednesday night, he didn't show up at all. Thursday morning, the girl called me. I picked her up, brought her home. That Thursday evening, he called me. He didn't have keys to get into the apartment. He said, oh, I had to spend all night in the hospital with my son last night. And he gave me this story. His son was real sick, and he stayed there. And so I met him at the apartment and told him how badly she was hurt. And he says, well, I love her. This is not going to happen. Let me get cleaned up, I'll come over. That was the last I saw him in person until our criminal court trial came up. He called me the next day and said...
What criminal court trial?
For the $1,500 check.
Oh, okay.
That was dismissed due to, it was a post-dated check.
Okay.
North Carolina laws.
When for the first time, I asked you, did he tell you that this was not going to work out?
He called me on the phone that week, I believe it was that Thursday evening, and said, I'm not going to marry her. And I said, well, why? And he says, well, that's personal, I'm not going to tell you. I've got to go out of town this following weekend. When I get back, I'll get with you. And he never did call back. Mr. Vaughn called me and said that he had a check that he had written to cover her expenses for her plane ticket, my loan, a small amount of living expenses until she went home. And I was to pick the check up at the apartment. Well, we didn't have a key. We couldn't get in.
Well, you must have said something to him about money. You owe me some money. You owe me the money that I gave you, $675,
Actually,
and the return, and her return flight as well.
Right. It was actually him that volunteered the money at first to pay for her plane ticket home, because he knows this is a responsibility that he signed, that he is responsible for this woman, and if they do not get married after 90 days, he has to return her. It's an agreement he's made with the U.S. government.
Okay.
So he was aware of his obligation.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carl and Lori Jen Blackman say former friend Chris Miller borrowed money to fly in his girlfriend from the Philippines. Chris says there was no agreement to pay the money back.
When did she go back to the Philippines?
It wasn't until September.
Why not?
Because, well, she was so ashamed of herself, and in the Philippines, and I do have evidence from doctors that treat women in the Philippines.
I'm not interested in that because it's really not germane. She's not here. She was, for emotional reasons, she didn't go back.
Right, and plus the check bounced. We could not get it to cover. 5 times I took it, it would not Each time I took it to the bank itself, they said, I'm sorry, there's not enough funds, and then I ran it through my bank to have it stamped.
But that was $1,500, and that would have covered her return flight to the Philippines
And my loan of...
and your loan to him.
Yes, ma'am, and a small amount of living expenses for a week or two.
So the whole thing was $1,500. So how did $1,500 become $5,000 that you're suing him for?
Well, we never could cash the check. It was never any good. So she stayed with us. She was real ashamed and didn't want to return home, and she did not have the money to return home because the check was canceled. And I had told Mr. Vaughn that about a week after the check, when I first tried to cash it, I said, well, why isn't there any money there? And he said, well, my wife wrote a check. It'll be good in a couple of days. And I said, well, yeah, I think Cheryl may be staying a while anyways because she's very afraid about going home.
Okay, I got it. So the rest of this money, $3,500, is for her living expenses.
Basically, and attorney's fees, and we had to buy her clothing. She had no clothing other than summer clothing, and this was middle of winter, so we had to buy her clothing.
Well, she should have gone home immediately.
With what money?
With the money that you would have lent her and then sued them for the $1,500 and it would have been over with.
I don't have thousands of dollars in the bank.
This isn't fair. We're not talking thousands. We're talking about a return airplane ticket.
But
How
it was
much is
Mr.
the
Miller's
one-
responsibility to return her.
How much was the return air ticket?
When I returned her, it was $640, and it was during the low time of year. In January, it's a high travel time. It could be as much as $1,000 or more.
All right, Mr. Miller, let's hear it.
Well, went over there, met her, did all the paperwork and everything to bring her over here.
Paperwork.
Then in December, when I talked to her, I told her, I said, you know, I don't think it's going to work.
You mean December before she got here?
Right.
Why did you tell her that in December?
Well, I had met my wife. We had dated, I guess it was about 8 or 9 years ago. And we had met, and we started seeing each other. And that's when I told her, I told Cheryl, I said, you know, it's just not going to work.
So you told the young lady that you didn't think it was going to work out. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. What happened next?
She came here. Carl picked her up at the airport.
Well, when you told her in December that it wasn't going to work out, she hadn't been here yet. Why didn't you cancel these papers?
I didn't know what, she was already in Manila. I didn't know what to do.
You mean she had traveled to Manila in order to come here?
Yeah, you have to go to Manila. You have to go to the embassy in order to come to the United States.
The interview
So she had already done the legwork there and was
Yeah.
on her way here,
Yeah.
and they had been using your papers to process her.
Right.
Okay. So you knew she was going to come?
Right.
In January.
Well, I told her not to come. She came anyway. Carl brought her to the apartment. I told her, I said, look, you know, it's just not going to work out. I think it was like two or three nights I stayed there, and I think that was it.
Why did you have
When
sex?
Don't speak. Mr. Miller, when she stayed at your apartment for 2 or 3 nights, did you share a room together?
Yes.
Why?
Because there's only bed. I didn't have a couch or anything. I just moved.
So you shared a bed together?
Yes.
While he was living with
Mr. Blackman, he
Sorry.
was very quiet. You have to be very quiet.
Yes, ma'am.
What arrangements did you make to get her a return ticket to go home?
When me and her had split up, or she had left, went to Carl's house.
That was just a few days later.
Right. Carl had went around telling everybody that he was going to have me for abandonment, have me put in prison, $12,000 fine.
Prove it.
Don't know.
Mr.
Don't
Blackman,
know if he can
this
or
is
not.
the last time I say that to you, sir. The next time I dismiss your case. Do you understand? I control it here. It goes in an order. You, then him. Then if I have any questions. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you used to controlling things?
Not really.
Uh-huh. Does your husband like to control things?
She wears the pants.
What?
She wears the pants.
I somehow doubt that. Go ahead.
So once I heard what he was trying to do, I didn't know what to do, so I called my congressman. They put me in touch with liaisons. I told her what was going on. I said, you know, I need to stop the fiancé visa. She said, okay. Well, I talked to Carl. He said, look, he said, you pay $1,500. It'll all be said and done. It'll be over with. I said, okay, fine. It'll be done. I'd closed out my account. Mark Vaughn, he was a good friend of mine. I said, you mind writing a check? I said, here's the money. He said, no, no problem. Gave me $1,500. Well, Carl Blackman, in the meantime, had called and told her he was going to sue me, that I was going to prison, that on the documentation it says that I am liable for everything. Well, told him no, he's not. He offered to give you the money to send her back. You told him no. You've told me no, that you're not going to send her back, and there's nothing you can do to him. So then that's when he tried to go to court, get us on a criminal offense, and then we're here.
So that you stopped payment on the check that you had given him?
Yes.
That's what happened.
Yes.
But you understand that you owe him this money.
No, ma'am.
You do. And for no other reason, Mr. Miller, than because of your actions, this young lady traveled from the Philippines to the United States. Now, you may have told her a week or two before she got on that plane, while she had traveled to Manila, according to you, to begin this process, that it wasn't going to work out. And if it wasn't going to work out, then what you do when Mr. Blackman brings her to your home is put her in the car and you say, I'm bringing you back to Mr. Blackman's house. I told you this wasn't going to work out. You don't take her to your bed for a few nights and then return her. Bad sportsmanship. Not moral conduct. You don't do a test run with somebody that you know is not going to be a permanent part of your life, especially under the circumstances where you met her in the Philippines, which was on her turf. According to what the plaintiff tells me, which I believe, one of the frustrations that you had is that you were not alone very much because of her strict upbringing in her family. So she comes to a strange place, she comes to a strange home, she comes to a person that she's known for, what, a week or two? Is that all you knew her? I mean, other than the mail and the telephone
I was
calls.
over there about four or 5 days.
So it was less than a week.
Mm-hmm.
And she's vulnerable because she's here. She doesn't know anybody. I don't know how her English is, but she's certainly very vulnerable. And you took advantage of that. Bad show. And I can understand when Mr. Blackman says that there was an embarrassment that she had in going home right away. And she had to emotionally prepare herself to go home because she was going home different from the way she came. How old was she?
25.
And how old are you?
I just turned 35.
And you have a child.
Yes.
I see that from here. Were you married before?
Yes.
Once before?
Twice.
So you've been around the flagpole a couple of times,
I
as
guess you could
opposed
say
to this
that.
young lady.
I don't know if she had or hadn't. I would say not.
The only other expense that I haven't addressed is your attorney's fees. Now, you said you had attorney's fees.
Yes, we tried to change her visa so she could stay here without going
That's
home.
not his problem.
Yes.
That's your problem. That's her cousin. If you tried to change her visa,
Yes, ma'am.
then you're doing that out of the goodness of your heart. That has nothing to do with his relationship with you.
Yes, ma'am.
I certainly believe that you are entitled to be reimbursed for certain of your expenses.
Yes, ma'am.
And certainly for the $1,500 plus your airfare, I believe that you did provide airfare both ways for this young lady. And I believe that she probably needed a period of adjustment before she went back.
Yes, ma'am.
Not she came 1 week, she goes back the next. Kind of embarrassing. But I would say, Mr. Blackman, that she's not here. I cannot inquire of her. But I would say a month or so should have been sufficient time for her to get over this and to go home.
Mm-hmm.
Did she stay with you the entire time?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
Okay. So on your claim, Mr. Blackman, I'm awarding you $2,500.
Thank you.
The $1,500 that he was supposed to have given you, plus $1,000 a month for the month that I believe would have been sufficient time for her to prepare herself to go home. So on your claim, sir, I am awarding you $2,500.
Thank you.
Didn't do the right thing, sir. That's all.
Parties are no, not really. Your Honor, this is case number 73 on the count in the matter of Mark versus Brown. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Marr, according to your complaint, you and the defendant met on the internet?
That's correct.
And began a relationship that lasted a relatively short period of time. During that time, it is your claim that you made loans to him well in excess of $5,000.
That's correct, Your Honor.
The relationship is over. You want your money. The defendant says that he made no promise to return anything that you gave him, that everything that you bought or gave him were just that, gifts, right?
Correct.
Give me the date when, after you met him on the internet, you met in person.
March 20th of 2000.
And how long did the relationship last?
Up through February 27th of this year.
When was the first loan that you made to him?
May of 2000.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding that.
At that time, he would tell me how stressed he was and he needed money for bills, about $500. And he wanted it in cash, and I did that for him.
Where were you when the conversation took place?
On the phone, late at night.
He said, you said?
He just said he was behind in bills. He didn't know what he was going to do. You know, he was very stressed. And when he gets stressed, Your Honor, he gets chest pains. And
so you said what?
I said, I'll be
be happy to loan you the money till you can get on your feet, and it was definitely a loan.
You didn't say to him it's definitely a loan. I just want you to tell me what you said to him.
I said, how much would it take to catch you up in your bills?
That sounds right. That sounds like something you might say to him. How much will it take? And he said $500?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. You say he told you it would be about $500. And what did you say?
I said, I'll be happy to get you on your feet.
Okay. That sounds better. Not probably quite accurate. I'll be happy to help you. Or that wouldn't be a problem. I can help you with that. Is that what you said to him?
I will help you out until you can get on your feet. He was unemployed at the time.
Okay, so you said, I'll help you out until you get on your feet.
Which he never did, in my opinion.
Right?
Pardon me?
You said, I'll help you out until you get on your feet. Is that a loan?
Yes.
Yes, that's a loan. Perhaps, if he ever gets on his feet.
Well, he says he's broke. But I
Then
know
he's not on his feet?
Well, he
Miss Marr.
he is employed now.
Not on his feet?
That's a matter of opinion.
I understand that. That's not smart of you. All right. So when was the next time you claimed you gave him money?
Would you like to see?
I don't want to see
Okay.
Listen
I
to
mean,
me.
there was tons of times, and the reason I just kept doing it is because he would tell me he had a terminal illness, he had a year to live. He faked heart attacks, and he would threaten to rob a convenience store, and I would panic and think, you can't do that. That's immoral. That's against the law. What can I do so you're not so stressed? He had heart attacks. That is how my husband died. I was just totally worked up.
Not true, Your Honor.
I have proof.
Just a second.
My son here, he has witnessed these things that I have said.
Listen to me. I want you to calm down and calmly tell me the next time you gave him cash. When was it?
It was in October. He had just moved to a different city.
Tell me about the conversation that you had with him. He moved?
I had spent a few days prior to that, and he never brought it up. The minute I get home from the weekend, he says how stressed he is, he's having chest pain, and that he's behind on some bills, and he needed to get them paid. There was utilities, the water was going to be shut off, his cell phone was going to be shut off, no phone, he wouldn't be able to come and call me. So
what did you say?
I
I'll help
said,
you.
what do you need? Why didn't you tell me when I was there?
Okay, and what did he say he needed?
About $600.
You have proof?
Yes, I do.
Can I see it?
Yes, ma'am. Well, let me look at my list here.
The first money in May of 2000, you gave him cash.
That's correct, Your Honor. I have proof that it came out of my savings and cashier's check, that it went directly to him.
I want to know the next cash item that you gave to him.
It was always something, prescriptions.
No, cash.
I made cash deposits right into his checking account. And I have 3 times I did that in July and August. It was right after his back surgery. He couldn't work. He gave me the same old sob story. And I have all that proof right here, Your Honor.
Let me see it.
And that totaled $1,400 in 3 deposits.
I'd like to see proof of that.
Thank you, Bert.
All right, when was the next cash that you gave to him?
At the end of the year, $400. I have the withdrawals, and I gave him the cash.
That doesn't prove anything. You just withdrew $400, but it doesn't show that it was transferred into his checking account. Is that right?
He didn't have a checking account in town.
Yes, I did.
I gave it right to him because he came down to see me, and the only way he could come down to see me is if he rented a car, and so that's why I gave him $400.
All right.
He would constantly give me these stories that would...
Miss Marr, if you're constantly giving you stories, then you say to him, after the second time he gives you a story, you say to him, adios, goodbye.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Hattie Marr claims ex-boyfriend James Brown conned her out of money by playing on her sympathy. Hattie says he faked a heart condition and a life-threatening illness.
Your story is, and I read your complaint, that your husband had died of a heart attack, that you met him, that you were very vulnerable, that he appeared very, very nice person, that he...
But he manipulated me.
Well, you're a grown-up lady?
But I was grieving at the time.
You're a grown-up lady?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so he took advantage of you?
Yes, by faking heart attacks,
by threatening to commit suicide. I would be on the phone for hours.
Well, that would have saved you a couple of bucks if he committed suicide. You know, there comes a point when you say, listen, you got to do what you got to do.
But I cared for him. I loved him.
What?
I cared for him, and I loved him, and I believed, and I trusted everything he told me. He had me going all the time.
I got the picture. This is not a hard picture. This is a picture that I see time and time again. I have some money that she can establish she gave to you.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm not talking about buying you a new tire or buying you prescriptions or paying for your cell phone bill. I'm talking about cash money.
Yes, Your Honor. This is my current...
I don't care about your current. I care about the then.
But Patty had made statements that she wanted to talk to her, and she
Just pay attention to me.
Okay.
I run the show. And if you have a heart attack here, we'll make sure, very, very sure, sir, that you get out the door so you don't interfere with the rest of my calendar. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand?
Yes.
She gave you cash. She wrote you checks. She deposited cash in your account. Is that true? Is this proof here that I have accurate?
Yes, it is, but
Perfect.
there is...
No. I'll ask the next question. Did you repay her in cash for any of this money? $500, $600, and $1,400. Did you repay her for any of that?
If she wanted me to come down and see her, why would I repay her when she wanted me to come down and see her?
The answer is either yes or no.
No, I told her there was never no talk about repaying her.
I'm asking you a question. Did you pay her back this money?
No.
You acknowledge that she gave you the money.
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. Now, are you currently under the care of a cardiologist?
No, Your Honor.
Did you at any time indicate to the plaintiff that you had a heart condition?
I do have a heart
The answer
problem.
is either yes or no.
Yes.
You did. And did you at any time tell the plaintiff that you were stressed financially?
Yeah, I was stressed financially, yes.
And after you told her that you were stressed financially, she gave you some money.
Yeah, she said, I'll help you out, here's a gift, you know. And I said, I can't afford to repay you. She knew I could not afford to repay her.
Why can't you afford to repay her?
I was unemployed, Your Honor, raising...
Why were you unemployed?
Because I had had back surgery and
A lot of
stomach
people
surgery.
have back surgery. When did you have back surgery?
June of last year.
Where had you been working before that time, sir?
I was working part-time at Walmart.
Part-time at Walmart? How old are you?
37.
Why were you working part-time at Walmart? What's wrong with you?
I had 2 stomach surgeries.
2 stomach surgeries for what?
Stomach, it was polyps, cancer.
You know, I doubt that.
Huh?
When was the
I'm
last
sorry.
time you held a full-time job?
2 years ago. Well, actually, last year. The year before, it was 99.
Con artist. Are you the current girlfriend? Step up here. When did you meet Sir Lancelot?
Met him in February.
You met him in February?
2001.
Can't be without a meal check. What kind of work do you do?
I'm an internet customer service for Northwest Airlines.
How much do you earn annually?
I don't know, probably 25,000.
And what's Prince Charming doing?
He's working full-time.
Mm-hmm.
He
Where?
has been since I've known him.
Where?
He was at Minn Kota, and now he's at, they make trusts.
So he has a nice job?
Yes.
Good. He makes good money?
Yes.
Perfect. You owe $2,500, judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I had spoke with Patty on the phone, and she basically said if she gave him more money, he would come back, and she was addicted to it.
He faked 2 heart attacks in my home with my son present.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hansen versus Boren. Step forward, please.
43-year-old census taker Maria Hansen is suing 40-year-old gardener Michael Boren for assaulting her with a garden hose. Maria says the attack occurred when she tried to collect his census form.
Miss Hansen, your complaint is that while you were performing your duties as a census taker, you entered the defendant's home, and while trying to get the information from him that is required in the census, he assaulted you with a garden hose.
Exactly.
When did you go to his house?
May 2nd of last year, and it was a little after 8, maybe 8:15.
In the morning or
in the evening? However, the lights were completely on in the house. So at that point, I decided, you know, fine, if they're up, I'll do their census.
How
If
long
not,
had you
I
been
won't.
working as a census taker?
Well, this was my 2nd day on the job.
Did you receive any training?
Yes, we had about a week's worth of training.
Were you told as part of your training that if someone decides that they don't want to give you the information, you just leave?
No.
What happens if someone does not wish to cooperate with the taking of the census?
Well, if they slam the door, you just leave. However, by law, everybody, including everybody from the president on down in this country, has to complete a census form.
Okay.
He already had received one form in the mail, which he didn't complete.
Who was that, the defendant?
The defendant.
So you ring the bell?
Yes.
And this is a private residence?
Yes. I believe the door was actually open and the TV was on.
What was the next thing that happened?
Well, the defendant got up and he said, and I will quote, well, maybe I shouldn't in court.
No, you have to tell me exactly what he said.
All right. See that sign? It says no soliciting. Get off my porch.
Now, after he made that statement to you, what did you do?
I said, my name is Maria Hansen. I'm here from the census. I'm here to help you complete your census form.
And what did he say?
Get off my porch.
Okay, and so what did you do?
Then, at that point, he walked out of the house.
And you were standing, but you were standing.
I was standing on the porch. And I started to fill out a form that we were given that explains, you know, sorry we missed you. You know, we're census. Please call us back. We'll set up a time to interview you, blah, 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 blah.
So he walked out the door, and what did he do?
Well, as I was filling out my form that I intended to leave on the door, but I did not, he was gathering up his garden hose and turning it on.
So
and
what did he
still
do?
screaming obscenities.
Just a minute. So he picked up his garden hose that was in the front yard?
Right.
And?
Turned it on. And as I decided to get out of there fast, because it looked like he was going to hose me down, he did.
If he, you, out. Good. All right, Mr. Borm, now let me hear your version of what happened, sir. Look at me, don't look at her.
I'd say closer to 8:30. I'm minding my own business, private residence, watching television, getting a little late.
Look at me.
There was a knock on the door. I don't have a doorbell. I went to the door, opened the door, a tiny bit, screen door closed, and I said, now she might have confused that I called her name. What I did, I told her in no uncertain terms, you're not welcome here. Get off the property. No questions asked. Leave.
Did you give her any opportunity before you slammed the door or told her to get off the property to explain what she was doing there, sir? The answer is either yes or no.
No.
What I'm going to ask you, sir, is unless you have some severe psychiatric history of which I am not aware,
No.
why would you not let this lady explain to you? I mean, she doesn't look like a psychotic person. Why wouldn't you let her explain to you what she was doing knocking at your door at 8:30 at night?
I have no soliciting signs. If
No,
somebody-
that's not my question. This lady does not look like an axe murderer.
No, ma'am.
Why would you not at least let her explain to you what she was doing there before you told her, on no uncertain terms, according to you, to get off your property?
You're right, ma'am.
Good. Then, since I am right,
I was
sir,
unreasonable,
since
ma'am.
I am right, sir, I know I'm right, and I know that your actions on that day were totally inappropriate. The fact that you may have no solicitation signs on your property doesn't preclude you from being part of the human race. And lady came to your home. She could have just as easily come to your home for the purpose of requesting assistance because somebody was injured. She came to your home not to solicit to sell you a vacuum cleaner or a 36-piece set of Tupperware. She came to your home for the purpose of completing a census, which I am sure you received in the mail and threw away, at least once, because that's why she was responding to your location. Your response to that was to assault her. The law precludes you from doing that. Now, Ms. Hansen, suing the defendant for $5,000, and I think that that's an inappropriate amount.
Okay.
You weren't injured. You were humiliated, and you were frightened.
I did suffer from depression afterwards, and I do have a note from my therapist about that.
How long have you been seeing a therapist?
A couple of years. I've been on antidepressants.
Okay. So you were depressed before, you were depressed after. This certainly didn't help your depression, unless you go home afterwards and say, listen, I just ran into somebody who's even in worse shape than I am, right? You know, which is something that I would have said, yeah, the guy's even worse shape than I am because, you know, at least I can hold it together. Well, so you got to have a sense of humor about that. But I believe that your pride, and the fact that he did act in an inappropriate way, there has to be a statement.
Absolutely.
Okay, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. 154 on the calendar in the matter of Brock versus Courtney. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Brock, you are a peace officer. Is that correct?
That's correct, Judge.
Your complaint is that you made a traffic stop of the defendant for speeding, and that subsequent to giving him a ticket, he filed a complaint against you, which was patently false, with Internal Affairs causing an investigation. And while you were cleared of all charges, that report will remain on your file permanently, and you want him to pay you damages.
That's correct.
That's what the case is about. So I have a couple of questions, then I'm going to go to Mr. Courtney. How long have you been a peace officer?
I've been a peace officer, Your Honor, for approximately 9 years.
And what is your assignment, sir?
I'm assigned to the traffic division as a motor officer and an accident investigator.
When did this incident happen?
The incident occurred on September 2nd of 2000.
What time of day?
Approximately 8:30 in the morning.
And what was the reason that you stopped the defendant's car?
On that date and time, Your Honor, I was in uniform working speed enforcement in my jurisdiction when my attention was drawn to a vehicle traveling at a high rate of speed on a street named El Camino Real. My visual estimation of the vehicle's speed was approximately 50 miles an hour, which is about 15 miles an hour over what's posted for that roadway. And that roadway in itself has numerous driveways and businesses in this particular area, which restricts a sight distance for vehicles traveling.
Whatever. So you thought he was going about 15 miles over the posted speed limit?
That's correct.
You pulled him over?
Yes.
When you pulled him over, you identified yourself as a peace officer?
Yes, I did, and I was in uniform.
Mr. Courtney, I'm going to come to you next, and I want you to tell me your version of what happened after you were pulled over.
The officer came up to my window, and I inquired of him as to why
Just tell me what you said. Not inquired of him. Tell me what you said to him. He came up to your window. Did he say anything to you, or did you say something first?
He asked me for my identification.
Did he say, can I have your identification
Yes.
or your driver's license and registration?
Exactly. Yes, he
No.
did.
Which one?
He asked me for my driver's license and for registration.
Did you give it to him?
I looked for it, and then I suddenly remembered that all of my identification, along with my passport, was in my briefcase, which was sitting at home in another vehicle with my driver waiting to take me to LAX. I was on my way to Europe.
And you told him you didn't have
Yes, I did.
driver's license nor the registration for the car.
Yes.
What did he say to you then?
He asked me for my particulars, my age, my date of birth, my address, my height, my weight, color of my eyes, and I gave him that information.
Okay. Go ahead.
And he then returned to his motorcycle, which was probably 5 to 10 yards parked behind my car, and he was there for quite some time.
And then?
Then he returned to the car, and he presented me with a ticket to sign.
Mm-hmm.
And I signed it.
And then?
And then he tore the ticket off, and he left.
So that all sounds very nice. And then what did you do?
Well, there was a lot that transpired in between
Well,
because
I'm
of his
asking you.
actions.
I mean, we're not going to play I've got a secret in 20 questions, Mr. Courtney. So far, you told me what happens when you make a routine traffic stop, license, registration you don't have, checks your ID, gives you a ticket, and you both go on your way. That sounds all
the gentleman
very nice.
here, while he's composed today, was quite...
No, just tell me what happened,
He was
Mr.
agitated.
Courtney.
He was very agitated.
Tell me, sir, he comes and he asks for your license and registration. You don't have it. I want you to tell me point by point, which I thought you did, what it was that caused you to file a complaint against him.
When he approached me, Your Honor, he appeared agitated.
How did he appear agitated?
When someone looks at a person and they're not composed, possibly he had a bad start to his day, I don't know, and he did...
So he appeared agitated.
Yes, he did.
Okay. Go ahead.
Then, when I told him that I didn't have my identification with me, he just didn't seem to believe me, and he became more agitated.
No, don't tell me agitated. What did he say to you, sir?
He told me he was going to take me to magistrate's court.
Okay, go ahead.
And that was after I had informed him that I was on my way to LAX to fly to Europe, so I assumed he was going to take me to magistrate's court. I was going to miss my flight.
So what did you say to him?
I just basically cooperated with him and gave him the information that he wanted to. I don't recall exactly what I said to him at that moment, but what I did do is I got on the phone and I dialed 911 right away.
Why?
Because of how he was conducting himself.
So far, I haven't heard anything, sir.
Well,
untoward.
I'm about to share it with you. He was, he was very animated.
How animated?
He was animated to the point whereby he was in my face, in my car.
How was he in your car?
His face was literally 12 to 18 inches from my face, and I'm sitting in the driver's seat, rather than having a good 3-foot distance where people can just communicate with one another. He was in the car, so to speak. He was in my face. He was not happy. He was in a bad mood. He was agitated.
Your Honor, this man is perjuring himself.
Just a second. Now, after he left, according to you, there were no words that he said to you. It was his affect. Is that right?
No, he had threatened to take me to magistrate's court, and
That
I
is
couldn't
his right.
understand why.
That is his right to take you to magistrate's court, sir. So that's not a threat. There were no words that he said to you that were threatening. It was his affect.
And his hand on his gun, Your Honor.
Yes.
This was just a simple traffic stop
Well,
on a
it's
Saturday
simple-
morning.
It's a simple traffic stop, Mr. Courtney, except that the person who he stopped had no identification, had no license, had no registration. So what initially is a traffic stop becomes something else when there is no identification. I'm going to repeat myself. Other than the fact that you say his affect appeared to be agitated, he did not threaten you in any way. He didn't curse at you in any way. Is that right?
That's not correct, Your Honor.
Well, what did he say to you, sir? That's what I'm trying to get to,
The
Mr. Courtney.
intonation in his voice, he was very abusive in how he addressed me.
Tell me, sir, what he said.
I don't recall the exact words, Your Honor, but just the manner in which he conducted himself.
May I
He didn't comport himself properly.
All right. May I see the report that was filed, please?
This is a letter that he wrote to my department
I'd like
for
to see
Internal
that.
Affairs. That's the letter right there.
Your Honor, may I make a point, please?
Some of the points he made in the letter, using the words...
Go ahead. Shh. Just a minute. Go ahead.
This incident occurred September 2nd. The Criminal Investigation Department conducted its investigation, wrote a letter back saying that they weren't going to pursue anything against the gentleman. Therefore, I assumed it was fait accompli, everything was over. I talked with my lawyer here in Beverly Hills. He said, pack it in, forget it. So I shredded everything.
Well, I have it here.
No, I appreciate that, but I wanted to peruse it prior to coming on the show.
Okay. Well, in the letter, Mr. Courtney, that you've written to the police department, you have accused the plaintiff of not only menacing affect, but of cursing at you on at least 3 occasions, something that one would necessarily remember if you remember his affect. I'm going to make a mark.
Your Honor, while you were
Just a
looking
second. Just a second, sir. Would you show this to the defendant, please?
Thank you.
Read the portions that I've checked.
I apologize. I don't have my glasses with me.
This is strong
Are
enough
we in
for
the same
anybody.
age? We're in the same age range?
I'm younger than you are.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sheriff's Deputy Edwin Brock claims Donald Courtney filed a false complaint after a traffic stop. Donald claims Deputy Brock was verbally abusive.
Can you read with my glasses?
Yes, I can. Perfectly.
Now, I'll take them back. And the paper.
Thank you.
Without going into graphic detail. Well, I best go into graphic detail because we have a record here. When I was signing the ticket, in shrieking tones, according to you, he said, sign the ticket or you're going to court now. That I would remember. Then, you say, he said to you with his finger, you and your limousine. And then you say he said to you, when you said, please just give me the ticket, And at this point, he erupted and said, "I've had enough from you." Those are things that I would remember if I were telling a story, Mr. Courtney. Mr. Brock, according to your complaint, sir, you made this stop, and the time you made the stop, you took out a recording device. Is that right?
Essentially, Your Honor, yes.
Not essentially. That's what you said here. You said, "I got off my bike and turned on my tape recorder."
Yes, it's a device that I wear on my belt. It's not something that I have to remove from a stored place.
I understand that.
Okay.
And you take that off because it's protocol to turn on the tape recorder so that you can memorialize the stop. Is that right?
That's correct.
Where is it?
I have a copy of the tape right here.
I'd like to hear it.
Okay.
Bird.
It's difficult to hear, Your Honor, because of the background noise of traffic, but you absolutely will not hear foul language from either party on that tape.
What are you stopping me for? Speed limit. What's the speed limit? 35? 35 where? On Anthony Boulevard to Garden View. Are you serious? I'm very serious. Jesus Christ, I lived here for years. I never knew it. I thought it was 50. Are you serious? From where? Where is it 35? From where to where? Anthony Boulevard to Garden View Road. Okay, what's your Garden View? Just past. Are you serious? No, that street's been there for 35 years. No, I know, but I thought it was 50 the whole way down. Wow. I'll be damned. Well, let me start with your registration and insurance. How about that? I can't believe it. I'm flying to Zurich right now. I'm trying to get to the airport. How do you go to the airport without identification? Because I'm going home. The limo's picking me up. I see. There you go. Take your vehicle insurance with you? Nope. Right. That's the only one you have? No, I have one. Okay. Bring your insurance report with you. Not admit guilty to charge you being cited here for the speed violation. You have to appear in court for the charge if you're not admitting guilty to anything. Okay, your court date starts November 13th, 8 o'clock. Okay? You said I'm not admitting guilty. Well, your constitutional right does. Even if you agree to... What are you charging me for? Speed violation, the proof of insurance in the vehicle. Well, what is the speed violation? What do you mean, what is the speed violation? Well, what was I doing? Well, you're over speeding. 48 miles an hour in 30 miles. I mean, really, at least it's... You really have nothing better to do than to stop me 15 miles an hour with the speed limit in this town? I mean, come on. Let me ask you a question. When should I start writing tickets? Well, let me say something to you. No, don't say anything else. Why not? I can say whatever I'd like. You sure can. Yeah. Why you sign a ticket, though? You're going to sign a ticket and not delay me any longer. The ticket asked you nicely, and I did ask you nicely. No, there's no more we have to do. I'm standing out here. I don't care what I did the last time. Let me tell you what happened the last time. I don't care what happened to the last officer. I'm hanging out here with these cars going 45 miles an hour. Now, I want you to sign a ticket so I can terminate. You want to terminate the contract by signing a ticket here. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. You're not arguing. I'm trying to talk to you now. I don't want to do it anymore. You know why? You're going downhill. You're getting the ticket. For what? You're getting the ticket whether you like it or not. I don't mind. Okay, I would like you to sign so I can go. I'm going to sign it. Relax. You can voice your opinion in court. If you sign the ticket and you can relax on your trip to Switzerland or wherever else you go. I'll take it. You want to go sign in front of a magistrate, you can sign it. If not, you sign it right here. They can be taped later on. Right here on the side of the road is not the place to have debate with cars going behind me at 40 and 50 miles an hour. I'll tell you, this is not the end of it. Respect, you know what? Not the end of it. You won't be the first one. Oh, no, you don't know what happened last time I took an officer's report. Here's your copy. Hang on, don't go. I need your thumbprint here since you don't have any driver's license. Would you put your right thumb on the pad right here, please, and just lightly touch the box? That's it. Good day. I got a problem. Drive safely.
You're way out of line, Mr. Courtney. Way out of line. Didn't you know he had a tape recorder going?
Yes, I did.
Well, if you knew he had a tape recorder going, sir, and I've just listened to the entire conversation that the two of you had, there is nothing that he did to you that was untoward that day.
Respectfully, you weren't there.
I don't care whether I was there or not. I heard you.
I was there. I saw his facial remarks, his hand on the gun, and furthermore, I have a witness here with me today who will testify that he physically assaulted her in a court hallway 3 months later.
Do you want to know something? I am not interested in your witness because that case, if it's a case at all, has absolutely nothing to do with this.
Yes, it does.
Because you wrote this letter in which you allege in this letter, which went to Internal Affairs, that he on no less than 3 occasions cursed you. He did not. That was clearly a lie. Now, maybe its intention was to get somebody's attention, but it was a lie, because I've just listened to this entire conversation.
Your Honor, the validity of the authenticity of that tape has not been proven.
To my satisfaction, Mr.
Not
Courtney.
to mine and not in a court of law.
Sir, you've subjected yourself to this jurisdiction. This isn't the first case that I've heard, Mr. Courtney. And this isn't the first tape that I've listened to.
Your Honor,
and
I
I'm
asked
telling
for
you
that information. It
and
was not provided.
And I'm telling you that the only one who was giving a hard time that day was you. As a matter of fact, there is some indication on this tape that you threatened him.
Where is
You
that?
said to him something about the last cop who gave me a ticket. And he replied very quietly, I don't care about the last cop that gave you the ticket. Please just sign this ticket. And he didn't threaten to take you to magistrate's court, sir. He only said to you, you can either sign the ticket here, sir, or you can sign it in magistrate's court. Why don't you please sign it here? Then you can be on your way.
But I did sign it.
Mr. Courtney, you were vindictive. The complaint that you made against him was totally without merit, based upon that tape, which is what cleared him. Very smart of the police department to have you carry around these tapes, guys. I want to tell you something. It should have been done a long time ago. Now, I don't believe that Mr. Courtney knew that you had that tape, because if he did, I doubt very much whether he would have consented to appear here today. He did. You're suing him for $5,000. I take judicial notice of the fact that a complaint to Internal Affairs remains on your record, even if there is a finding at the end of an inquiry that there was no basis for the complaint. It does remain on your record. I am granting you your complaint in the amount of $5,000. This case is over.
Parties are excused. You may on account in the matter of Lee versus Kearney Yawan. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Ms. Lee, according to your complaint, the defendant was living in your home. You were living there with a friend of yours, and he was the friend's boyfriend. Is that right?
Yes.
And you claim that he started a fire in your home, caused substantial amount of damage. You want him to pay for all of the damage. The defendant's answer indicates that, well, it was an accident. And 2, he fixed a lot of the damage, and there should not be anything that requires any professional attention. Is that right, sir?
That's right.
Okay. When did this happen?
Well, it took place around February of 2000. It was close to midnight, where he had apparently started the fire by himself. And somehow he had used kerosene, and it got out of hand. He left a trail of kerosene from the front door to the fireplace. So when he started to light the fire, it trailed back, of course, to the front door on the hardwood floor as well.
You have pictures of the damage?
Yes, I do.
Were you in the house at the time?
Yes, I was.
The fire was extinguished so that nobody was hurt?
Correct.
Fortunately.
Fortunately,
okay.
Yes.
What's this dollar bill doing on your floor?
Oh, I had a friend took that, and he just put the dollar bill there just to focus in on the area.
I see. I assume that's the ceiling, smoke on the ceiling?
Correct.
Okay. Why did you light a fire with kerosene?
Well,
Oh, no, well, over here.
Okay.
Well is not an answer.
That's actually the part that is not true. I didn't try to light up the fireplace with the kerosene.
How did you light the fire?
Well, okay, the truth is that I think it's about on June last year, and it's not on February.
You needed a fire in June?
Yeah.
Was it very cold?
June 31st, yeah.
It was very cold. Where do you live?
In Seattle.
Even in Seattle, it's cold enough in the summertime that you have to light a fire?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes it can get very cold, yeah. And I noticed at that time also it was raining outside.
What time of the day or evening did you light this fire?
Well, that's the thing that I'm not quite sure also. I have already totally forgot about this whole incident.
How many fires have you lit in your life that caused damage?
Yeah, that's...
How many? Is my question.
This is the first time.
Then I would remember it. Do you understand? You almost burned the house down.
Yes.
How did it happen?
Okay, I
Do
have
you
a
remember
dream.
how it happened?
Yes, I remember.
You remember clearly how it happened?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So at that time that it was late at night, and then I was setting up the fireplace, and then after that I go make myself a drink.
What time were you setting up the fireplace?
It's probably around 10 o'clock.
Didn't you have to get up early in the morning?
Yes, I do. Because that I thinking I was just going to set up the fireplace for about an hour, and then after that I will
No, slowly, sir.
extinguish it.
You thought you were setting up the fireplace and what?
For about only an hour.
Fires don't last for only an hour.
Yeah, but I decided that later on I will just extinguish it myself and then go to bed because I have to work in the morning.
How'd the fire start?
Okay, like I said, that when I get up and then try to make a drink, I have this vodka on my hand, and then I lit up the fire. I didn't use any kerosene or anything. It was a dry wood, so I just started up the fire right away. And then approximately after about 15 minutes or so, I decided I need to go to the restroom. So I go to the fireplace, and then put more wood into the fireplace. And then at that time, I put the glass with the vodka in front of the fireplace. And then I just totally forgot because that is dangerous.
Had a little too much vodka.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yes.
Had a little too much vodka.
Yes.
There you go. I knew we were going to find the answer, sir, if we just kept going. So it wasn't an accident, it wasn't on purpose, it was caused by you having a little too much Stoli, or whatever you were drinking.
That's right.
Right? Mm-hmm. So you have to take care of the damage. Now, what did you do to take care of the damage?
Well, the next morning that I told...
Fire department came?
No, it didn't. Even though the fire alarm went off because of that.
No fireman came?
No. Your Honor, my son, the fireplace was about 10 feet away from his front bedroom door. And when he heard the alarm went off, he quickly went out. He went to the front yard, took the hose, and came in and hosed it down and extinguished it.
There was damage. Damage to the floors, damage to the door, damage to walls, soot. What did you do to fix all that?
Well, I told my ex-girlfriend that I feel responsible for setting up the fire, causing the fire.
Of course.
Yeah.
You were responsible.
And then I feel bad about it, and then I'm going to fix it. So the next morning, I didn't go to work, and then I start from the painting the front door because it got the smoke stain on that front door. And also after that, I also fixed the hardwood floor just by sanding it, and then.
Did you buy a sander?
No, just like the sandpaper.
That's not the way you fix a floor, sir. You don't take a little piece of sandpaper and just go over areas. You got to do the whole floor.
Yeah. That's the thing is that because I noticed that only like there's like a small black stain on that hardwood floor caused by that fire.
So you just took a little piece of sandpaper and went over it. Mm-hmm. What else did you do?
And I also paint the ceiling, not the ceiling, but the wallpaper.
You painted over a wallpaper.
Mm-hmm. Only on the portion that got the smoke.
You're not a decorator, are you, by profession? Huh?
No.
I didn't think so. So that's what you did. You painted over the wallpaper. You took a little piece of sandpaper and you went over the floor in certain spots, mm-hmm. right?
Yeah.
And you painted over the front door. Now, before you painted over the front door, what did you do to get off the soot and the smoke and where it had been charred? Did you sand it down? Did you remove all the paint?
No, I didn't.
You just smeared a coat of paint over it.
That's right. I'm not a handyman, so.
When you cause damage to somebody else's property, sir, you may not be a handyman, but if you cause the damage, then you're supposed to get a professional to take care of it. You're not supposed to do it yourself. Let me see estimates of your damage. Do you have homeowners insurance?
Well, Your Honor...
Well is not an answer. My question is, did you have homeowners insurance? Why not?
At the time, I was changing insurance companies, and the 2 weeks had lapsed, and this incident took place during that 2 weeks.
Is this your own home?
Yes.
I want to see proof that you didn't have insurance. I want to see proof of that, because you're not going to collect twice. Do we understand each other?
Yes.
I'm really smart.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Victoria Lee says her friend's ex-boyfriend, Kiet Kurniawan, damaged her home when he started a fire with kerosene. Kiet says the damage occurred because he left his vodka next to the fireplace.
Now, we're going to bring you something from your insurance company indicating a lapse in coverage at a particular time. Do you have that information?
Yes, Your Honor. I managed to get a letter from the insurance company, as well as a copy of my current insurance, which will show that I started a new insurance as of July 13th, 2000.
And that's in Seattle, Washington?
Yes.
When did you purchase the home?
January of 2000.
How much did you purchase it for?
$240.
You have a mortgage?
Yes, I do.
What's the mortgage?
$189.
If you have a mortgage, you have to have insurance.
Yes.
The lender requires that you have insurance, and if you don't have insurance, they get insurance for you. So if you had to show proof at the closing that you had insurance, everybody knows that. What kind of business are you in?
I'm a mortgage consultant.
You got it. Do we understand each other?
Yes, Your Honor. But my home had closed in January, beginning of January, and then I had wanted to switch insurance company after it had closed. And I was hoping that the lender would not find out, which they didn't. So I did go ahead and get insurance with a different company as of July the 13th.
So what you're telling me is you fraudulently misrepresented to your lender that your premises was insured. Is that right?
No, it was insured at the time of the closing, Your Honor.
Well, at the time of the closing in January, if it was insured in January, it would have been insured in February, when you say the fire took place.
I wanted to change insurance company, so I had canceled it.
Well, that's not his problem. He had an accident in your house. If you had insurance, which you should have had, then you would have been totally covered. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I fixed it. And I actually told my ex-girlfriend that I will fix it.
Don't you let your insurance lapse.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Brewer versus Oldham, step forward, please.
38-year-old woodworker Karen Brewer is suing 28-year-old grocery manager Johnny Oldham for reward money that was promised for finding his toy poodle.
Miss Brewer, according to your complaint, you found a dog that turned out to be the defendant's dog. The dog was returned to the defendant, and you believe that there had been a reward for the dog, $500, I believe. You want the reward money.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you find this dog?
My daughter and I was coming back from Little Rock, and we found it on June the 24th. It was dodging cars across the interstate, and we saw it, and we stopped, and we picked it up, and we had called the number that was on the tag, which was his phone number and the veterinarian's number. Was unable to reach anybody, so the following day...
What day of the week was the 24th of June?
It was on Sunday.
Okay. Go ahead.
On the 25th, I had called the vet and reported it, that I found the dog and where, and left my name and phone number with them.
Did you speak to a person or an answering machine?
I spoke to the person.
Okay.
Later Monday night, the dog was having seizures. So I called the vet the following next day to see if they were able to locate him, and they still didn't. And I had continued to keep calling his home because they gave me his name and his address and everything.
Did you do anything for the dog when the dog was having seizures?
I just did what the veterinarian said, just stay with them and talk to them and just be there with them.
What kind of dog was it?
It's a poodle.
You have any animals of your own?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
What kind of animals?
I have Chihuahuas and a Basset Hound.
So you have small ones and then one short one, but long.
Short and
long.
heavy. Big ears.
Big ears. Go ahead.
I continued to keep calling all week, and we finally got a hold of him on Friday, or to his wife.
Almost a week later.
Yes,
found the dog on a Sunday. The following Friday, you got in touch with him. Okay, you spoke to his wife.
I had spoken to his wife, told her my name and phone number, and that I had found the dog and where, gave her my address for them to come pick it up. And she had told me about a reward money.
Where's your wife?
She's at home with our children.
Go ahead.
I didn't even know anything about the reward money. His wife had told me, and she said that they have not told their kids because they didn't know what to say to their kids.
Did she say she was paying the reward money?
No, ma'am. She said that a kennel was.
So who came to pick up the dog?
He did about an hour later.
And you gave him the dog?
I gave him the dog.
Did you have a discussion with him about this reward money?
He told me that he had talked to the kennel, and the reward money still stood since I had found the dog, and he's going to make sure I got the reward money.
That's what he said to you?
That's not what
Shh, just a second. That's what he said to you?
That's exactly what he said in front of my daughter and my son and nephews.
Okay. And you never got the reward money?
No, ma'am. He went and picked it up.
Okay. Now, Mr. Oldham.
Yes, ma'am.
I gather that you were on vacation, which is why the dog was kennelled, according to what I read in your papers.
Yes, it was.
When did you go on vacation?
I left on a Saturday afternoon.
And how long were you and your family away?
Till Thursday afternoon.
No, ma'am.
I'm sorry. We got back on a Friday. I apologize.
Good. Now, during the time you were away on vacation, you had no idea that this dog that you had put in a kennel...
No.
Right? Let me finish my question, then you can say no. While you were away for that week, you had no information that your dog that you had placed in a kennel had somehow gotten loose, escaped, been lost. Is that right?
That's right.
So you get home Friday, and you get a call from the plaintiff.
Yes, ma'am.
Who told you she had your dog.
Yes, ma'am.
And you went and got your dog.
That's not exactly how the events took place.
Well, tell me how they took place.
Okay, we got back home that afternoon, and my mother-in-law called me, first of all, and told me that a dog had been stolen from the kennels. She said she didn't call us when we were on vacation because she didn't want us to bother us while we were on vacation. There was nothing we could have done anyway.
Good idea. See how smart your mother-in-law is?
Very smart. Very smart.
Good.
So we directly after that, we called the kennels, and my wife talked to her, and my wife lost it. She was bawling, and I got on the phone, and I told her, I said, how can you tell me that my dog was stolen and it was the only dog stolen? She said, well, it was, and I told her I was to be right there. I went down there to talk to her person to person.
Now, the kennel and your vet are two different people, is that
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Okay, go ahead. So you went down, you spoke to the kennel people. What happened next?
Well, she called 5 minutes after I got off the phone.
Fine, so that's what I said before.
I'm
She
sorry.
called you.
She called me 5 minutes after I got off the phone with the kennels.
Did you ever call your vet?
Yes.
Pay careful attention to what I'm asking you. When you called your vet, did your vet advise you that they had received a telephone call days before from the plaintiff?
No.
Did you ask them?
Yes.
And what did they say?
They said they received a telephone call from her asking about our dog.
Well, that's what I'm asking you, sir. I'm not playing with you.
I'm sorry. I
They
didn't understand the
received a
question.
telephone call from the plaintiff days before
Yes, ma'am.
saying, I found this dog. Here is the tag number.
No, ma'am. They called. She said that the information that they asked was they wanted to know about the dog. They wanted to know information about my dog. They did not tell her that they'd found my dog. They said they wanted to know information about my dog because it had seizures.
Oh, I don't think that that's true, Mr. Oldman. I think you're making that up, sir.
I've got a letter from the veterinarian.
I don't think that that's true, sir. Mr. Oldham.
I've got a letter from the veterinarian also.
Yeah, I'd like to see both letters.
It's just showing my dog's shit.
All right. This is a letter dated July 27th. Just saved me a phone call because I'm not stupid. This is what he's going to tell me if I call. I had a phone conversation about a month ago with a lady who had found a poodle on Interstate 30. She was attempting to find the owner of the dog and reported that the dog had seizures. The dog had been vaccinated at our clinic, and she had obtained the name and phone number of the owner and stated that she attempted to contact him. This is from your vet.
Okay. Right. Yes, ma'am.
Ah. Now, did the kennel pay you any money?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
How much money did the kennel pay you?
She gave me $500 for her irresponsibility and compensation.
Baloney! I absolutely believe the plaintiff when she said to me that she was told there was a reward. Not a reward that you were going to pay for the dog, but a reward that the kennel was offering for the dog.
No, ma'am. I mean,
No, ma'am.
I went up there to get my dog from the kennels.
Yeah.
After I got it, it was infested with fleas. I took it to the kennels and I said, would you please dip it? It's infested with fleas. The conversation we had between her was that we believed that she had something to do with the stealing of my dog.
I want to tell you something, Mr. Oldham. There is something wrong with your mind. Why would somebody who stole your dog call the vet, report that she had found this dog, say, I don't understand that the dog has seizures. Could you help me out? I don't know what to do with the dog has seizures. Then pick up the phone and try to call you. Now, there's no question she had been trying to call you continuously because she called you on the day you returned from vacation. You think that that was just an act of God that she called you just on that day? She had been calling you continuously all week. What you did was the wrong thing. You should have paid her yourself for finding your dog. Instead, the kennel, who was responsible for lax security, offered a reward. She found the dog. She wasn't even looking for the reward. She wasn't. She was promised the reward because she was told that there was a reward. And then you went, picked up the money, and kept it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. Thank you.
2 and 6:04 on the calendar. One in the matter of M. Zamora versus Jones. The other one in the matter of R. Zamora versus Jones. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
According to your complaint, you and the defendant were living together. You planned on getting married. Didn't work out. He moved out.
Okay.
You claim he owes you some money for some rent, some bills, and in addition, shortly after he moved out, he came back, there was an altercation, and he injured you, and you want him to pay your medical bills.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when did he move out?
He moved out in June of '99.
And what month's rent do you claim he owes you?
Last month's rent.
Which month?
October.
But he wasn't living there.
No. His name was still in the lease, so I expect him to still pay half.
And how much was the rent?
The rent was $430.
Okay. Now, what kind of damage did he do when he moved out?
While he was leaving, police officers were present because previous altercations between us. After he did leave, there were damages done to the apartment.
After he left?
Right after he took all the furniture and everything out with him.
Like what kind of damage?
Holes burnt in the carpet, holes in the walls. I have pictures if you would like to see.
I'd like to see the pictures, and I would like to see the landlord's estimate. Have you moved out of the apartment?
Yes, I have.
When did you move out?
I moved out in October.
Now tell me about the next part of your lawsuit, which has to do with an assault.
He came to my apartment after he had left. He had heard rumors that I was seeing somebody new and got jealous.
When was that?
This was in September. He came to my apartment. We got into an argument. We ended up outside, and an altercation happened between us.
Well, tell me about it.
I was arguing with his new girlfriend, and he grabbed me by my arms, putting multiple bruises on me, which I also have pictures of. We were pushing and shoving, and my knee popped. The ambulance was called. I went to the emergency room.
Well, how did your knee get popped?
He pushed me.
Not true at all. Not true at all, Your Honor.
How did he push you?
When he had grabbed me by my arms, I was trying to make him let go of me. I tried to get away. He grabbed me from behind with his right hand around my throat. When I was trying to get away from that, I was twisting and turning since he had a hold of me, and that resulted in my knee popping.
Were you fighting with his girlfriend?
No, I was not.
Were you fighting with him?
Yes, I was.
How were you fighting with him?
Trying to get his arms off me.
How did you get outside?
I was trying to get him out of my apartment.
How were you doing that?
He tried to shove his way in my door, and I told him to leave. It resulted in a fight. He tried to steal my cat, try to get my cat back. After that, that's when he grabbed me by my arms and then grabbed me from behind with his...
How did you try to get your cat back?
Just ran after him.
Were you arrested for that?
No, ma'am, I was not.
Were you taken into custody?
No, ma'am.
No charges were ever filed in regard to that case?
Later on, about a month later.
I pressed charges the same day, Your Honor.
It was about a month later, I received a phone call from my father at work. It said that there was police officers came for a warrant. I turned myself in, and then it proceeded from there. I had to go to court for it and everything.
Well, that's what I want to know. You did go to court. Did you have a lawyer?
Yes, I did.
Did you appear before a judge?
Yes.
Was the case resolved?
Yes.
How was it resolved?
I had deferred prosecution, where I had to stay away. We had to both stay away from each other for 180 days. If no altercations were occurred in 180 days, then the case was dismissed.
You may call it a deferred prosecution, but it really is a period of 6 months probation.
Okay.
Did your lawyer explain that to you?
No, he didn't explain to me fully. Like I said, he said I had no charges were pending or anything like that. The prosecutor informed me that there wasn't enough evidence and I had too many witnesses.
Don't tell me what the prosecutor told you about not enough evidence. There wasn't enough evidence. You should have insisted on a trial. Then you would not have had a 6-month probationary period. What did you go to her house for in September?
I was with her sister and my girlfriend here. We went to her house. I dropped her sister off. She said she had to talk to her. And at that time, we had a cat that I got, and it was running around in the stairs. It ran up the stairs. I followed the cat. She was already talking to her sister at the time with the door open. I went up there to get the cat. I picked up the cat. Then the man that moved in with her after I left the place started saying stuff to me, arguing with me. Then she proceeded to argue with me. She came at me, smacked me in my face, started punching me in my chest.
Not true.
I went to walk away. Her sister grabbed her, told her to leave me alone, to let me go. I grabbed the cat, proceeded down the stairs, got all the way outside of the apartment building. She ran past me, went to my car where my girlfriend was sitting. The window was cracked. She was talking on her cell phone. She proceeded to stick her hands through the window, the cracked window, grabbed her by the hair,
Not true.
and started pulling her out through the window.
Did that happen?
Yes, it did.
Go ahead.
That time she grabbed her, I told her to let her go. I did grab her arms to pull her hands away from her hair. I said, let go of her hair, let go of her hair. She said, no, I'm not going to let go. I said, let go of her hair and I'll let you go. She finally let go of her hair. I backed away, and then she proceeded at me again to hit me. She got out of the car, then Monica proceeded to go after her. When she started proceeding to go after her, she hurt her knee, fell down.
Your Honor,
Then
I
the
have
ambulance was
pictures
called.
of the multiple bruises that were on my arms that he gave me.
Oh, I'll take a look
There's
at
no other
them.
way I could have gotten these.
I'll take a look at them. How do you think that happened, Miss Zamora? How do you think these black and blue marks happened?
By him. He gave them to me.
How?
By grabbing me and holding on to me.
Mm-hmm.
He's done it for 5 years. It wasn't the first time.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Monica Zamora says her ex-fiancé, Ronald Jones, owes her for rent and for medical bills resulting from an altercation. Ronald says Monica slashed his furniture and slandered his name on the internet.
All this isn't as clear as you make it appear. I want you to know that I understand that. He says that there was another person that moved into the house shortly after he left.
He lied
So I'm
about
go-
that.
Just a second. Did you at that time have some other person, a male, staying over occasionally at your house?
No, ma'am. Never did he stay one night. Yes, I started seeing somebody. This is the reason he came to my apartment.
I mean, I don't see why he would come over there with his new girlfriend.
His new girlfriend is my new boyfriend's ex-girlfriend.
So
That's the
what?
reason they're together.
So what?
There was
different-
nobody staying with me.
Listen to me.
I had 3
Listen-
jobs to pay my bills.
Listen to me. He didn't come over there because he was jealous. He may have come over there because his girlfriend said to him, "Why are you being such an idiot and paying the rent when he's staying over there with her?" Now, that may or may not have been true. Certainly, he was there on that September day when this altercation took place.
Mhm.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Put your hand down. You know, you have to be objective even with regard to your own children, right? Now, I want to know why you went outside.
He took my cat and grabbed it. That was a gift to me.
So you went outside after him?
Yes, I did.
And are you telling me you never went over to his car?
No, I didn't. I didn't even
Step
see.
up.
Didn't even see his car.
Step up. Tell me your name.
Jennifer.
Jennifer what?
Martinez.
I want you to tell me about this day in September of 1999, if you can recall it.
Well, like Ron said, I was sitting in the car talking on my cell phone. The window was cracked about maybe this much, and she reaches her hand in the car and says, "Get out." And she's grabbing by the side of my hair. She has me by the side of her hair. I asked her, "What are you doing?" She said, "Get out." So she reaches her other hand, and at this point in time, both arms are in about this deep. She busted my face on the left
Why didn't you
side
press
underneath
charges?
my eye. At that time, Ron went over there. He was like, "Look, let her go. There's no need for this. We're leaving. We're leaving. We're leaving." So she's like, "No, get her out of the car. I want to beat her up," and so forth and so on, for whatever reasons of her own. To this day, I don't know. Fine. So she tries to get me out of the car. So I told her, "How am I going to get out the car out of a crack of a window? Let me open the door." So she's all pressed up against the door.
Okay, that's all I want to know. That's all I want to know. Sit down.
Thank you.
Sit down. I want to hear something, Mr. Jones, about your countersuit.
Okay.
You say that Miss Zamora took a knife and ripped up furniture.
That's correct.
Tell me about it.
That day, the day I moved out, she called the cops because I wanted to move out.
Why would the police be called to the house?
Because I wanted to take my stuff with me, and she thought that she was able to keep it. When everything was in my name, I had receipts for it. I showed the police.
Okay, so that's why the police were called, because
Yes.
you were taking some property out of the house. Okay, and what happened?
The police told me I had to get my stuff and go as soon as possible. So they waited there. They waited there until I got my stuff out. Before the police were called, before the police got there, I was moving some stuff downstairs to the...
What stuff?
I was moving clothes. I was getting my clothes, putting them in bags, and taking them downstairs to the basement, so when my family got there to help me move, I'd be all ready. When I came back up, she was putting a knife back into the kitchen sink. I started to proceed to move the furniture out of the living room, and there were slashes in the side of them. I do have pictures if you'd like to
Can I
see
see
those.
them, please?
I saw the furniture.
There's one slash, is that right? Is that what you're telling me?
There's a slash in each end of the couch and the love seat.
I see. Did you do this?
No, ma'am.
There's no reason for me to rip my own furniture when I paid for it.
There isn't.
I paid for that furniture. That furniture was in both of our names, but it didn't matter to me. I just wanted him to leave.
Well, why do you think somebody would slash the furniture like that?
I have no idea why he would do that.
I have
Or
no
who
idea
else
why
would do it.
anybody
I
would
don't
do
know.
that to their furniture either. All right. There's another part of this lawsuit. Now you can stand up, Mr. Zamora, because you're suing him Because you say he borrowed $350 to use as a security deposit for the apartment. Did he borrow that money for security deposit?
He borrowed the money to get an apartment and incidentals. He did not have a place to live. He had just started to work.
Security deposit is $445. Who put down the security deposit?
I borrowed the money from him, Your Honor, for the security deposit.
So you put down the security deposit on the apartment
I
with
put
his money.
Right. I put down a first month's rent, and he loaned me the rest of it for the security deposit, which I borrowed $550 from him.
And you paid some back?
I paid some back.
So $350 is left. Is that right, Mr.
Yes.
Zamora? So your daughter did not put down any security deposit in this apartment. Is that right?
Correct.
The cleaning and painting is just $395.
Yes, I'm only asking for half the last month's rent, but I want him to pay for all of the damages because he did the
No. $395 is cleaning and painting.
Okay.
Half of that, say it's $200.
Okay.
But he's already got $350 in there for security deposit because she didn't put any in. You can't get it both ways. You can't get your loan back from him, plus you're going to get back the money from the security deposit that's not eaten up by the landlord's cleanup. Can't get both. You following me? Perfect. So, in addition, I don't believe your daughter with regard to what happened that day in September when she called the police and there was an altercation at the house. I don't believe her story. What?
We have previous police reports of their altercations.
I don't care about previous. That's not what I'm here talking about. I'm telling you, I do not believe the story that your daughter told me that he assaulted her the way she described it and that she was solely without blame. I do not.
It takes two to argue.
I do not believe that it came about the way she described it to me, that he, for no reason whatsoever, assaulted her. I do not believe it happened that way.
We have previous police reports of him assaulting
Stop it!
Oh, no. I mean, so he's not going to stop assaulting her unless you tear him apart.
I believe that she got bruised in the arm because she went after his girlfriend in the car. I believe that that happened. I'm not saying you're blameless with regard to the altercation that happened in the house. I believe that you shouldn't have been there.
Correct.
Period. End of discussion. You should not have been there. You precipitated something that developed into maybe more than what you bargained for. You had no cause to be there at all. But I do not believe it happened in the way that the plaintiff described, so I am not holding you responsible for her medical bills. You have a hospital report?
I should.
Sir, and I'm not even entertaining your defamation of character end of your lawsuit. She said she put nasty things about you on the internet?
Yes, Your
Like
Honor.
what?
I have a paper printout up from American Online.
Let me see it. Do you have a report from any of these?
A report?
That says that what the x-rays found?
I think that's all I have, Your Honor.
Show this to the plaintiff, please. Is that your handle on the internet?
No, it's not. But it's funny. But no, I did not do this.
What proof do you have that she did that?
That is her online name. Her nickname is Coca. Since I've been with her for 5 years, it's always been that. My friend was online. She emailed him. He didn't know who it was. He looked up her online, her profile. That's under her profile. He called me the next morning and told me what was going on. So I asked him to print me a copy of it.
Did you ever use the name Coca?
Yes, it's been my name for a long time.
Well, why didn't you say that? I said, is this your handle? You said no.
Oh, I thought you asked me if I did that.
I didn't ask you if you did that. I said, is this your handle?
Yes, it is.
Uh-huh. Why would anybody put such a terrible thing on the computer?
I don't know, ma'am. I can't tell you because I didn't do it.
No?
I did not type those things. Anybody could have typed that.
Well, I know that. I know that anybody could have done it.
Could have even been her sister. Her sister has added quite a bit of fuel to the flames between these two, including taking him to the apartment.
Could have been a lot of things. Somebody else could have used her name, and somebody else with a grudge against both the defendant and his new girlfriend might have written that both of them are highly contagious with one or more venereal diseases. So there may have been somebody who used your daughter's name, who also had a personal axe to grind against these two people who would write something like this and put it on the internet. That's possible. It's a bit far-fetched. It's a bit far-fetched. If I was satisfied by the required quantum of proof that she had in fact done this,
Okay.
oh, I would award you substantial damages.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Sure.
I'm very familiar with online. You cannot get on somebody's profile without your password to get into that computer.
How do I know about this profile? How do I know that somebody
That's
has a
exactly
profile?
what that statement is from. That's from her profile. That's why she puts her nickname in there. That is her profile.
Do you understand that? Bert, all I want to know from you is...
You can't get onto somebody's profile.
Could anybody have written that?
Fundamentally, Judge, anybody could have written this.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I want to tell you something. I'm not convinced that you're going to get a penny from the assault, because I think that you were at least partially involved with her, which caused the bruises to your arms, so you're not going to get a penny for that. You're not going to get a penny for your $350 that is outstanding from the loan. Get it back from the landlord when the lease is over. You are going to get $215 towards October rent. Do you understand? That you're going to get. I am, in fact, satisfied that the plaintiff did damage your furniture, because I see no reason why somebody else would damage furniture that they intended to use that looked brand new to me. Do you understand?
Yes.
You understand. So I'm offsetting the $215 that he owes you for the rent to have your furniture repaired. Goodbye, folks.
Các em thân mến, chào mừng các em đến với video mới ngày hôm nay nhé. Hôm nay cô có một bài toán khá là khó và chúng ta cần phải hiểu bản chất một chút thì chúng ta sẽ giải quyết được bài toán này. Đây là bài toán có 3 bể nước và chúng ta cần phải tính số lít nước ở mỗi bể nước. Khi mà biết rằng là tổng số lít nước bể 1 cộng bể 2 là trên này, bể 2 cộng bể 3 là đây và bể 3 cộng bể 1 là 7.030 lít. Ở đây các em thấy rằng là nếu như mà chúng ta tính trung bình cộng của bể 1 và bể 2 thì sẽ là bằng 7.050 chia 2 đúng không? Và tương tự như vậy thì bể 2 cộng bể 3 cũng thể chúng ta sẽ tính trung bình cộng của hai bể được. Như vậy ở đây chúng ta cũng sẽ tính trung bình cộng của từng bể riêng luôn. Và để mà hình dung được cái bản chất như thế thì chúng ta sẽ thấy được rằng là tổng số lít nước đựng ở 3 bể này thì chính là tổng số lít nước ở đây và chúng ta chia cho 2 đúng không nào? Ở đây chúng ta sẽ thấy, ở đây chúng ta sẽ có một lời giải đó là tổng số lít nước ở 3 bể chứa. Tổng số lít nước ở 3 bể chứa thì chúng ta sẽ tính là tổng của 3 cái này lại 7050 cộng 7180 cộng 7030. Ở đây sẽ bằng 0 này, 8 cộng 5 13 rồi 3 là 6 này, 1 nhớ 1 là 2 và 3 x 7 21, 21.260 lít. Ở đây 1 cộng 2 bằng chừng này thì chúng ta sẽ tìm được bể 3. Đúng ạ. Bể 3 thì bằng tổng trừ đi ở đây là thành bể 1 cộng bể 2 bằng chừng này. Quên, cái này chúng ta phải chia nữa. Chúng ta phải chia 2 nữa. Nãy cô nói mà cô quên. Ở đây sẽ bằng 21.260 chia 2 là sẽ bằng 10.630 lít. Ở đây sẽ là 10.630 trừ đi 7050 là sẽ được 0, 13 trừ 5 là 8, 6 trừ 1 là 5 và 10 trừ 8 là 2. Tiếp theo chúng ta sẽ tìm được bể 2. Bể 2 thì chúng ta sẽ dựa vào là 1 cộng 3 rồi thì sẽ là 10.630 trừ đi tổng của bể 3 về bể 1 7030 thì sẽ được 0, 0, 6, 6, 10 trừ 7 là 3.600 lít. Và chúng ta sẽ tìm được bể 1 là 10.630. Trừ đi bể 1 sẽ là trừ đi 7180, đúng không ạ? Thì sẽ được 0, 13 trừ 8 là 5, 6 trừ đi 2 là 4 và 10 trừ đi 8 là 2. Và đấy là kết quả của bài toán. Các em chú ý đoạn đầu chúng ta phân tích được bản chất của vấn đề, chúng ta tìm ra được tổng số lít của 3 bể thì chúng ta sẽ tìm được số lít của từng bể nước nhé.